All right, folks, there's always a little bit of delay, but all right. YouTube tells me that I am live, so hello and welcome, friends, to another episode of Talk Power BI. This is our usual Friday hangout. Today is a special episode. Today is our monthly feature of Dashboard, Showcase, and Makeover. And if you are joining me live right now, just type in the chat box, say hello. I'm Avi from Seattle. So yeah, I love hearing where everybody is from. So yeah, type that in the chat box. I'm gonna say hello to our friends from the Learn Power BI family who are on the phone. Hello and welcome. So we have Tommy, we have Bhavesh, we
Yes.
have
Hello.
Carl. Good to see you. Hey Tommy. Ian is here and Tom Neely. Awesome. So hello and welcome, folks. So again, folks who are students in the program, you always have an option to dial in, and yeah, it makes it easier to talk. And yeah, I love having my students over there. But hey, I love my YouTube family too. So let's see who's on today. Uh, I better pop out the chat window, make it a little bit closer to me. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. And folks, just be warned. Sometimes I miss the Zoom chat. Okay, let's see who's on. Abdul Rahman. All right, Alejandro. Jeff is here. Antoine says hello from France. Victor says greetings from Barcelona. Hello, my friend. Ricky is from Louisville, Kentucky. Pedro is here from Mallorca, Spain. Wow. Juan says hi from Monterrey, Mexico. Alejandro says hi. Mirkan is here from Saudi Arabia. Hello. Proba says hi. Alejandro, hello from Tokyo. I can't read your name. Vijay from India. Hello, Vijay. Alfred is here from London. I see Colleen from Sunnyvale, California, and a few that I missed. Wow. Oh, there's some from Seattle. Moses from Seattle. Hey, fellow neighbor. All right. Awesome. All right, folks. So let me just give you a preface. If you're new to Talk Power BI, well, we do this every Friday. It's kind of a live hangout. And there are two sessions that we now run every single month. One of them is this one, Dashboard Showcase and Makeover. The other one, if you go to Talk Power BI and scroll down just a little bit, that is the Q&A session. And for that, you can pre-submit questions. Also, if you go to my channel, Power BI Pro, youtube.com Power BI Pro. And right at the top, you would find all of our scheduled events. And talking about scheduled events, we do have two very exciting events coming up. So again, if you scroll down just past, so right at the top, we have, kind of the Learn Power BI videos. Hopefully, you've watched most of these. And join my program. Yeah, that's awesome. So next up, so right now we're doing the dashboard showcase and makeover. That's what we're going to go through. Next up, next week is Q&A, and for that you can submit questions. I'll talk about that. But on April 24th and May 1st, we have two really amazing events, which are going to be real Power BI project presentations. So this actually, let's see, is that on our website? We were trying to put it up on our website. Hey, Zoom folks, I'm just gonna put you quickly on a mute. I think I'm hearing some noise, and you can unmute yourself later on if you need to. All right, cool. Oh yeah, so our website has been updated. Thank you, Marianne. So folks, yeah, if you powerbi.com, it tells you a little bit about what this thing is. Basically, for those of you who have been around, we run this a few times a year where we call this Real Power BI, and we invite real businesses as opposed to fake businesses. We invite real businesses to submit projects, which then we have a Pro Plus program where these folks are, Power BI consultants on that path, and they work on these projects. So this is the final presentation for that. They're going to be bringing in from projects they've been working on with clients all over the world in all different industries. And folks, if you've seen this is not like a conference presentation. This is kind of raw and unfiltered. You get the real story here. So that's what's coming up. Next week is Talk Power BI Q&A, but this week is the dashboard showcase and makeover. Thank you everyone to who submitted the dashboards. These are the ones that I have, and so I have Vijay, Ajay, Erick, Jan, Marcel, Nabil, Nemanja, Roker, and Victor. Those are the ones that were submitted. And let's just spend a minute to say what this is about. So folks, first of all, this is basically, I want to create a platform which helps me showcase my students as well as followers. I do maybe love my students a little bit more. I think I'm allowed to do that. But yeah, so it's for both, to showcase, spotlight themselves, and to get started on this journey, which I really believe in, which is that in this day and age, you can't just do good work, my friend. You gotta tell great stories. I did that for a big chunk of my life where I just had my head down, like, oh, I gotta work hard to succeed. And unfortunately, when I lift my head up, I'm 40 plus now, so it took me a while. Hopefully, I can pass the lesson on to you quicker. Is that, yeah, it's not quite that. I mean, do good work by all means, but you gotta tell great stories. So we hope that this is a starting of your journey of starting to tell the story of your work by showcasing it here, stepping up here. And of course, if you're a student and you submit it, you can be on the call and walk us through your dashboard. So that's the primary goal. I want everybody to start thinking about it, take this opportunity, use this platform. And hey, if there's some feedback we can provide you to kind of improve it, make some changes, make it even more awesome, we'll do that, right? So all right, cool. So let's see. So these are the ones that were submitted. Let's just do a roll call. So folks, if you did submit, if you see your name here, and you are on the call, if you're on the call dialed in, if you're a student and you're on the call with me, then, well, I'll put it in the chat window. If you're on YouTube, then put it in your chat window as well, that, yep, Jan here or Marcel here, and so if you're one of these folks, otherwise, so I'll prioritize those folks who are present. If not, we'll just pick something randomly and go from there. All right, so let's just I'm going to scan through the names, see if so folks on the phone, I'm not seeing any of these names here, and that's okay. And where did my YouTube chat window go? Nope, not here. There it is. All right, Victor is here. Awesome. Let's just start there. Was I supposed to maybe hold on, guys, I'm trying to think. I think I'm also supposed to take notes here. Nope. Okay, so we'll start with, might as well, I'm going to open the dashboard. And while that's opening, I'm going to bring up my notes. And we'll go from there. Okay, it's coming up, folks. Hey, by the way, folks, I should warn you that, just a heads up, been having some internet issues lately, on and off. And I think now that everybody is working from home, it's possibly putting a lot more load on our local network here, and they've been doing a great job. And I'll admit that even when I've had problems, I find myself in a spot where I'm not really complaining about that stuff anymore. How sometimes these big events happen and they help you set your priorities. And so like, oh, okay, well, if the internet is down, then it's down. So, hopefully it'll stay fine. Mostly it's been great. All right, so I think my Power BI file is still coming up. My Talk Power BI notes is still coming up. I should have, let me take another glance at the chat, see if anybody else. Vijay is here as well. Awesome. Got it. So I saw Victor. Oh, I saw Nemanja and oh god, this shouldn't be this hard. Nemanja from Serbia. Hey, hey. Um. Oh. So Siddharth, what you can do, so Siddharth is saying is his PBIX file is too big to send it out, is that instead of, so go ahead, click the link, and frankly, by the way, guys, this one is just starts an email. That's all it does. But if it's too big for you to attach it, you can upload it to OneDrive, G Drive, Dropbox, and just share it via link, so you can do it that way. Okay. All right. All right. Hold on, folks. So, oh, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. So we are here. Oops. All right, guys. I'm getting close. Oh, you know what? Let's just use Notepad for now. Yeah, I'll have to transfer my notes later. Okay, so much better. So let's do a quick check again of. So I saw Victor, and Victor I heard from first. So let's line him up. Who else did I see? Nemanja from Serbia. And I think I heard Vijay. I'm trying to see if I heard him. Oh yeah, Vijay was after Nemanja as far as I can tell. All right, folks, so the lineup is set. We're going to go with this for now and then go from there. So again, guys, if you've noticed this, that there's a bit of a mindset shift from my side. I'm seeing it differently, and I think that's good. So it's, first of all, it's a showcase, and we might start doing something slightly different. I'm not sure if and when it's going to happen, but maybe when you submit your entry, I'll say, just write a few words, even a few lines of the story of your dashboard. Right? I mean, imagine if you were kind of explaining. And of course, for students who submit, and I would highly encourage every student, so anybody joining my program, it should be your goal, and we should actually add it in the program. It should be your goal to come on this dashboard showcase and makeover and present something in 3 months. And again, make it a hard deadline. Make it a hard deadline. Right? So 3 months from joining the course, you're coming here and presenting it, and don't worry, done is better than perfect. So when 3 months come by, you're always going to be, oh man, I got to do this. I'm not ready. This is too basic. All this crap is going to go in your head. Just ignore that. All right, just silence that. That's your inner critic, by the way. That's not you. And you are the brave self, and you're going to step up and say, hey, this is what I have. I'm going to submit this. This is what I've done. And by the way, in our course, folks who are in the program, you've heard me talk about this. I always encourage learning by doing. So we say there is a course, there's a program, videos available, teach you the concepts, but the real learning happens when you apply it on your own data set and go from there. Cool. Okay. Boy, actually, I realized that I forgot talking about one thing, which is we have lots going on, as you can see. Is folks, I got tired of sitting at home feeling helpless, feeling like I can't do anything about the situation, until I realized that I can absolutely do something. And in fact, each one of us can make a huge impact in this current crisis. Regardless, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a doctor or a nurse. You don't even have to know Power BI, right? Yeah. The key is to focus on your zone of genius. Whatever your zone of genius is, you gotta focus on that. If you're a musician, it's your job to write the best music of your life. I'm not a musician. I'm a Power BI guy, right? So I'm gonna make the best impact with Power BI as I can. So if you go to learnpowerbi.com/help, we're gonna make it easier to find. Put it up here in the menu somewhere. But yeah, we're offering free Power BI help for businesses impacted by the current crisis, and we really feel that this is time to step up. This is not the time to kind of shrink back. And there's more details on the page. And what I'm happy and really humbled to say that, share that others have joined this cause as well, and more are joining still. So we're excited about that. So all right. So with that, let's come back to dashboard, showcase, and makeover. Start with Victor, and hopefully that's open. Ooh. I don't think I was able to open your dashboard. Gave me some kind of message. Maybe it's still opening. Hello to the folks who just joined. Well, okay. All right, it did open. So again, first of all, folks, it's all about action. It's all about taking action. So first of all, kudos to Victor for building this and submitting this. All right, so let's celebrate it first, right? So Victor, awesome job. This is great. Victor, by the way, from Barcelona. And let's just celebrate it first. So what do we have? Sales, and hey, I got a soft spot for sales, mate. Because most of my reporting has been around, actually early reporting at least, when I was with Microsoft. That was around sales and finance and so forth. Once I left Microsoft, then I've been exposed to a whole host of other industries, working as a consultant, helping my students in whichever industry they're in. So I have an appreciation for that, but kind of a soft spot for sales. And man, there's nothing like dollars, just like, yep, right to the money. So let's celebrate it first. So sales, gross profit, and we have detail. Good. I like the structure. By the way, so I like the structure, and so this is good. And what else is awesome here? This is interesting. So this seems to be bookmarks. Oh, so you can kind of tab through that. That is really nice. I don't use bookmarks that much, but they are incredibly powerful. So here I'm already in sales, but if I want, I can click on gross profit. And did it switch for me? It did. It took a second. So it switched over to gross profit. And if I click on detail, I'm expecting, yep, it does switch over to detail. So great use of bookmarks there. That's awesome. And folks who are just starting out on their dashboard journey, the first thing you need to do is to watch the 60-minute tutorial that I have, which when I'm not live, it's shown right here at the top. Otherwise, it's the first video in this playlist. Go watch that. And actually, I don't know if my new one is in this playlist. I'm going to refer to
the latest Power BI.
All right. Might as well mute the site. Okay. Oh, I don't have that here. I need to add it. So in here, and after that, the next good continuation could be, there is something about a beautiful dashboard. Search for that. So yeah, ignore the first one. Yeah, create a beautiful Power BI dashboard. In there, I talk about what I call the power pattern. And the power pattern is really, really simple. Again, video goes into more detail. And oh, wow, I actually didn't even realize that this one does seem to kind of follow the power pattern. Either maybe Victor did see my video, or great minds think alike. Either one of those. So power pattern is really simple. It's showing high level numbers at the top, big and bold. I love these cards for that. That's awesome. I love that. And then show some breakdown and some trends. And then a little bit of detail if it makes sense, right? So yeah, that's the power pattern. And one of the powerful things about the power pattern, we should do context. How many times can you say power in a sentence? Anyway, one of the powerful things with the power pattern is that once you build something in the pattern, you can use it for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So and that is really, really helpful for the users. For example, look at the sales. So the first sheet is sales. This, you're looking at sales right now, and I'm going to switch to profit now. And you see that it looks quite similar. Not exactly similar, but quite similar. And yeah, the more, so if you use the same pattern, if you have multiple sheets, imagine if you had sheets for all different territories, which, so it showed US and Canada and Mexico. Now, I know you can do that with slicers too, but let's say you had something like that, and then they all looked the same. Or you had by product groups or something. So if you are going to build reports like that, then establish a pattern and then use that consistently, and that really, really helps the user. So Victor, kudos to you, mate, for doing that, for having pretty much the kind of the power pattern here and using that same. So from page 1 to page 2, it's not like everything is organized totally differently. That would make it much harder for users, to follow what's going on. All right. Okay, folks. So let's see what else is here to celebrate. I feel like there's so much. So I love the power pattern. There are bookmarks at the top. These seem to be slicers. So I'm talking about these guys here. I would say that's a good use of space because, yeah, I mean, so your space, your screen is like real estate, and every pixel is valuable. So, yeah, I mean, beautiful dashboard design is a lot like being a real estate developer. It's like, whoa, where's my high-rise going to be? Where are my shops going to be? Where's the movie theater going to be? That sort of stuff, right? So where do you place what? So I think that's a good use of space here. Let me just click one. See. Oh, interesting. Cool. All right, let's look at gross profit. All right. Great. We're doing this, guys. And detail. And detail gives you all of these drop down. And again, very compact use of space. So instead of, so this is a drop down, which I think is, I always forget where the setting is for this. I still can't find. Maybe it is, man, where do you control that this is a drop down or not? Thought I knew it. Anyway, so drop down is a good use of space here instead of showing it on the screen. And again, no right or wrong. Like, is it right to show it as a drop down, or should you show it kind of expanded? It depends, right? That's the real answer. Awesome. So Victor, great job, my friend. And again, folks, don't just do good work. Tell great stories. Tell great stories. And of course, if you follow some of our Pro Plus members, again, that's the program where they're on the journey to become a Power BI consultant or grow their Power BI consulting practice. But yeah, if you in fact, look at this. So this is, you probably met Charles Elwood. He runs solismatica.com, one of the members in the Pro Plus program. But he's doing something new, which he started this initiative where they're using 3D printers to print masks and shields and stuff for doctors, first line responders, police, and so forth. And he of course set up a website. And by the way, this just started with a single LinkedIn post. Maybe we should have Charles here at some point to kind of share that story. It's a pretty incredible story. But here is the Power BI dashboard. And yeah, so you gotta, which he uses to tell his story, right? So this is his story, and so every time he meets with somebody, he can say, "Yep, this is what's going on," right? I mean, these are the number of agencies we have helped. These are the 3D printers we have access to through volunteers. How many 3D prints today? Donations, all of that stuff. So again, folks, 3DC19. So that's what I'm talking about, right? Don't just do good work, tell great stories. So Victor, kudos on that. I want everybody to get in that mode. So let's see how we can help Victor rise up even higher, be even more awesome. And this is the best part about starting to tell stories. The first time you tell your story, the story of your work, is going to be the worst one. All right, just breathe that in. The first time I do it is going to be my worst thing, right? So, but that also means that's actually a very good thing, because that means that you're going to get better every single time you do it. And you are going to get better. There's no other way. And folks, a lot of us, we're like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm this, I'm that. Hey, I can talk to you for hours about that, all right? I'm not going to do that right now because we're in Dashboard Makeover. None of that applies, guys. It's a learned skill. Anybody can do it. So stop BSing yourself and just take the first step. It is going to be scary. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's taking action in spite of the fear. Right? So step up, tell the story, and every time you tell it, it's going to be better. So how can we, so visually, so this one, our focus is on dashboard. So how can we help Victor tell the story better through the visual dashboard? Let's see. I don't know if I should write it down or just speak about it. I'll just speak about it for now. So the first thing I feel is again, folks, you've talked about it. So you know what? Oh, dang it! I think I had a process which was written down. Now I have to come up with it again. I think we used it last time. Let me try to open my notes from last time. But I think one of that was do a squint test, right? So if I do a squint test, was that the first one? Maybe. That's kind of interesting. So if I do a squint test, like what can you see? If you squint your eyes, just close them halfway or something, and what do you see? What jumps out at you? And I feel like this thing is not really jumping out, but it seems predominant. And that, by the way, I can now notice when I open my eyes that is happening because it's the biggest element on there. So that's the thing. I mean, right? So again, we want to create dashboards by design, not by accident. So I'm going to assume that this is by design. Now, again, it is not really popping out. So I'm not so sure about that. I mean, and again, I'm not so sure about highlighting this. I feel like these things should be highlighted, and there's something off about them, I feel. Yeah, I mean, so again, usually the high level numbers are the star. You want the person's journey to start there. And the odd thing is that they are in prime position. We'll come back and talk about this later on. But generally, you've heard me talk about this, and it's covered in my video as well. The one that I showed with the beautiful dashboard. Let me flip to it really quick. This guy, create a beautiful Power BI dashboard. I talk about that how. So again, this is like, think of yourself as a real estate developer, and each pixel is kind of a plot, but they're not all of the same value. This is probably the most prime real estate, and generally on top is really expensive real estate, and so we scan the dashboard like this, so the value also goes down like this. So this one is the most valuable, and this part is the least valuable. So again, I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but this one is kind of positioned in quite a prime spot, and it's big cards, bold, but it's still not grabbing the attention as much. And again, I'm not sure if that's intended. Maybe the intent is to focus on this, but I feel like it should be these guys. And I feel like there's something going on with kind of the gray and the background. So maybe, like, I wonder if this was on blue. So there's something there. So again, let's recap. First thing, I did the squint test. Where is the attention going to? Here. And then you think that, is that intentional? Is that what I want the users to focus on first and to focus on the most? And if that's not the case, then you need to tweak things around. So that was our squint test, and I think there's some work here. Let's talk about some other elements. Let's address the elephant in the room. Right. So we talked about how the screen real estate at the top is some of the most valuable, and if you focus on the top left is the most valuable. So here I feel like this one is kind of tricky. I mean, I get kind of the navigation, like on a website, is at the top. So I don't know, guys. Yeah, I mean, I feel slightly conflicted about this. So usually you want the data to be the star in your journey. Data is a superstar. But again, I know, like, these dashboards, they start looking like modern websites or portals and so forth, and for that, people are used to having navigation at the top. What I'll say is this, is that, again, if you cannot eliminate non-data pixels, you should minimize them or de-emphasize them, right? So again, the data pixel should be the stars. And again, I talk about this in my video. I talk about pixel economy, right? So what's the ratio of your data pixel versus your non-data pixel? So I think I talk about it in this video, or maybe inside my course. But yeah, so if we can't eliminate it, if you're like, yep, we're gonna keep the navigation at top because it makes sense, then we should minimize it, and so you can experiment. And again, there is no right or wrong answer, it just depends. So what you can experiment is that, can you make it smaller? Can you make it less, kind of more subtle, like this blue background? Is that's needed? So yeah, so maybe there's some work that can be done there. And the company logos, this is a classic example of non-data pixel. I mean, this is certainly not data, and it's frankly of no value. When I can, so this is not the worst position for the logo. I've seen people place the logo right here, again, which is the most expensive real estate there is. That would be wasteful. This is not that bad, but if I can manage, I try to put it down in the bottom corner, which is the least valuable real estate, right? So, but yeah, I mean, this is probably still okay, and obviously we have navigation here, so it kind of goes there. Okay, so the other thing that I'll mention is, for the navigation, I would say one small tweak, which is that maybe what we can do is, so right now, so let's try this. So gross profit, I'm going to go here, and by the way, Victor, I'm glad you sent a file so we can actually. So either I'm going to test with, can I remove the line, or can I change it? Can I make it thinner? Let's go with thinner for now. And here, okay, so now if you see that the current tab is kind of lit up, and it's not the best visuals, but it's probably okay, better than before. And now if you click on gross profit, we're gonna do the same thing, and we're gonna change the other two. Here we go, to be lighter. So the active tab would, so this would orient the user a little bit. And I'm not going to do the same thing, but I would recommend you do the same thing for detail, where detail is kind of, highlighted, and the other is kind of, right? So you see, earlier there was no kind of feedback to the user at the top, that what is the current tab. You just had to guess based on what you were looking at, which takes some more time. And I don't think it's still perfect yet, but we're moving in that direction. I think you can still de-emphasize this even more than the active tab. So active tab is sales, that's got a thick blue border, and this one is lighter. And then when you switch to gross profit, then you can see that one is lit up, kind of lit up, right? And I would say maybe you can even change the font of this. And again, it's just all about kind of experimenting, seeing what works. Is what if we can say, oops, how do I change? I don't know. Border, action, visual, header. I was trying to see the text color. Anyway, so if you can find those options, then make this not black but a little bit lighter, something like that. And of course, so that's something that can be done. I think that could be really simple, but that would help. Okay, so again, Victor, kudos on telling a great story here. What else? Oh, of course. So the background, not a huge fan of these picture backgrounds. And so again, guys, so there are three kinds of reporting, if you ask me. There's one which is called the infographic. And really, the infographic, the goal of that is to just wow you, just grab you, right? I mean, and you see an infographic and go, whoa, that is really cool. And at least that's the way I see infographic, right? So there's infographic, and there's what I call operational reporting, and then there's storytelling, which could be presentation. For example, the most famous data talk ever, Hans Rosling, just TED Talk, and it's brilliant. This guy is amazing, and he's using moving bubble charts. And in my course, I say that stay away from those, or be careful of those. And somebody said, "Oh, look, Hans Rosling did it." But again, we confuse these three things, and that I see happening quite a bit in folks designing dashboard. That they see something, in an infographic, or the purpose of that is to grab attention, to be an infographic, and they say, oh, that looks so cool, I'm going to use it in my operational report. Or, oh, look, that person used it in their storytelling. You may not realize it. You will just say in their presentation, in their dashboard. But what they were doing was they were storytelling in that mode. And so something may work there, but not here. So the picture, I don't know. I mean, it's just, frankly, it definitely doesn't work for operational reports. So for operational reports, you want your data to be the star, the star, the star, the star. Okay, so so I'll say remove the background, right? So you don't need that. Non-data pixel, the goal is to eliminate them or minimize them as much. Yeah, so eliminate, just get rid of them. They're not there. Or just de-emphasize. So like, if, for example, if you are going to use a picture in the background, and again, I'd recommend that you do not, then, kind of, make it a really light, or like, kind of blur it out or something like that. But again, I mean, I don't think you should use that. In fact, you know what? Let's just see if we can remove that. Page background, sunrise transparency. Oh, what if we just, so transparency. Oh man, guys, I mean, come on, you have to tell me you see the difference, right? I mean, the second, and again, I mean, even if transparency is really high versus this, it's like boom, the data just showed up. It's like, folks, I'm here. I was gonna use a different word, but all right. So God, it looks so beautiful. Oh man, data is beautiful, especially if it's your data. So I often go to companies, and as a consultant, I very rarely try to sell them Power BI. I just try to show them with their own data. And you can show them the fanciest of dashboards, which doesn't have their data, and they wouldn't be as impressed as you show them a table with their data. Okay, maybe a line chart, and they'll go, whoa, man, you put all those years of data together, and I can see the year-over-year trend and all. Yeah, right. So data. So I think, just boom, man, let your data be the hero. So I'll focus on that. Anything else that we can use? So again, so we talked about this. I think this needs a little bit of work because this needs to pop. I feel like that is the hero. So if you do the squint test, that's the one that should pop up first. So I think something with the gray. So play around with it. Now this is interesting. So of course I notice here that 4 of these tiles are in gray, but then 1 is in blue. And again, so brain, I mean, it automatically, obviously, before you even logically think about it, brain already knows that it's something different. And I think that's interesting. So maybe this is the most important value because that's what's popping up out of these. And it can be, because a lot of times it doesn't matter what the actual units were. Maybe you're focused on the sales growth. And let's look at gross profit. It has the same pattern. So I would say that's intentional, and that part is working well. That's still good. These graphs look good. This graph looks good. I think the slicer make good use of space. Not a huge fan of pie charts. They're just not very precise. Consider using a column or a bar chart. I'm tempted to see how it kind of looks. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, guys. So, pie charts are hard to read. So, column bar charts are preferred. What product sells best? So this is a scatter chart. Now, what I'm wondering about this one is that, what is the? I don't think the size of the bubble. Is this something? No. Okay, so the size is all the same. Actually, let me pop it out, see how it looks like. So scatter charts can be great. You can play around more with this. There might be something else here. So scatter charts, sometimes you can show a lot more detail. So if these are individual products, yeah, but this is good. I would say this is good for now. Okay, cool. So I think we'll call it a day. Call it good for this one. And so, folks, when I switch over to this, I take my eyes off the chat. But let me check what's going on. All right. Yep. So kudos for Victor. Oh wow, Victor. What? Get out of here, man. So Victor is saying that this was his first report. He knocked it out of the park, mate. That's awesome. And wow, yeah, unbelievable. All right, guys. So hey, yeah, so I don't know what Victor's background is. So folks, again, when you see something else or see somebody else, always see that as an example of what's possible. So right, I mean, don't get into it. Oh God, yeah, they can do it. My first dashboard is horrible. Don't think like that, because sometimes you don't know what the full story is. So right, I mean, people often see kind of these overnight successes, and they're like, oh man, yeah, he kind of did it. I mean, 1 year he just exploded onto the scene. But what was the journey before that prepared them for it? And often, the funny thing is, it's our failures that prepare us for that breakthrough success when it does come. So I've come in the habit of celebrating failures. And one of our members, I should call out, Grace, she's amazing. She is holding like a monthly call for our Pro Plus members where the goal is to celebrate your failures. And I think it's a powerful idea. But yeah, so it's quite possible that Victor has, my guess would be that he has some background already. And again, right, so you can carry those strengths, those skills with you, and from very different areas. I mean, you could be an artist and you could end up being really great at Power BI, and of course you can see why, right? So yeah, awesome. Ranking, yep. So ranking, yeah, that was curious. Let me see. Ranking 1. Let's okay. So ranking, I would imagine that this would filter to the top 5 products. I'm not sure. Top 5, but yeah, so it's not clear what the ranking is about. Is it the top 5 products? Is it the top 5 country? Is it the top 5 customers? Right? So I'm just going to click it and see what it does. Top 5. It does kind of filter down, but I'm not really sure what it filtered down on. Let me focus on this. Huh. That is interesting. So let's see. I've never quite seen it done like that. By the way, folks, when I'm working with a client or with one of my students, this is the first thing that I look at, the relationship view. So this is ranking as a disconnected slicer. So hey, I guess this is a bonus segment. So we're not really talking about dashboards, but I'm definitely curious to see how he has implemented this. So ranking rank num, is it in the measures themselves? So if I uncheck top 5, so I'm noticing that what is and what is not filtering. So this thing didn't filter at all, which is kind of unusual. And that might be something to look at, because generally when somebody clicks on something, so yeah, for me it's hard to understand that what is being filtered. Oh, as far as I can tell, it is only filtering this one. Right? Yeah. So yeah, that one is a little bit tricky. I feel like there might be some work here. So let's try it again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just filtering these 2 graphs. Which country best sales from best sales? Oh, okay. I think I'm getting it. So this one shows all, and then if you say top 5, it just shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and same here. Got it. Let's have some fun with this, guys, because I think this is going to be good. And now it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I unselect, then it shows a long slicer. So that's what it's doing. But guys, we need to do something here. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of time here, and should I bring up? Maybe I should show that. Hans Rosling, Power BI. So let me show Power BI Finance Dashboard. Oh God, might not have it in here. I'll see if I can bring that up as an example. Maybe I'll hold on, guys. Let me. Okay. So okay. Let me just try to make this change. So there's something we need to do to indicate to the user visually that these guys kind of go together. So I'm just gonna butcher the dashboard for a little bit. I'll get rid of the icon just for now, and the ear. These are grouped together. So first thing I'm gonna do is ungroup them, and the ear is a universal slicer, as far as I can tell. That ear is going to impact, yep, as far as I can tell, ear impacts everything. So that one is universal slicer, which is the default, that a slicer affects everything. But this one is not. So what I would do is I would just visually separate this. So see what I'm doing here. And by the way, guys, white space is the most valuable element in dashboard design. White space. And what I'm doing is I'm distancing these guys a little bit, so to create the separation, and I'm bringing these three kind of closer together. All right, and I want to separate these three as well. So what people often do is they put a box around it. We can try that. Let's just see how that looks. Shapes, rectangle. Oh yeah, and so sometimes people do things like this. So right, so boy, the line is crazy. You remove the line, but they would do a box around this. Now this does set it apart. It does make it look like it's kind of separate. But again, your goal with dashboard design is to go for pixel economy. You're emphasizing your data pixel, and you are eliminating or de-emphasizing your non-data pixel. So then you think about, so of course, so folks, this goes deep. I cover a lot of this inside my course. You can also read Stephen Few's book. That's where information dashboard design. That's where all of my ideas come from, actually. I'll admit, I haven't read another book. That one is the Bible for me. So white space itself can be used, maybe, right? But even if you need something else, think about what's the least subtle. Not the least subtle, but what's the most subtle thing you can do. So sometimes you can simply use just a line, just a thin gray line. So let's try that. Shapes, line. Yep, there we go. And guys, I'm a fan of 50 Shades of Grey. No, just kidding. I mean, I'm a fan of gray. It's kind of subtle. And if it's themed, I don't know. I mean, if you have like theme colors in there, but gray is this non-threatening color, which just kind of blends out while still allowing you to do stuff. So let's try it, and I'm gonna make it the lightest shade of gray, right? So again, the goal is to minimize or eliminate non-data pixel. So here it's maybe I need a line at the top as well. Let me just try it. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. You can just try it. Rotation. Oops. Let's see how that looks. Maybe, yeah. And again, I mean, frankly, I'm not very happy with the results. But yeah, you can play around with it. You can do a whole box with a light gray border. You can do a filled box, but again, keep the color really, really light. But then basically set it apart, visually set it apart. So this should be like a guided tour without a guide. So imagine you go to a local museum, science museum or whatever. Think about that, right? So you want to give there's no guide. Well, I guess maybe at some museums you can hire a guide, or they do have guided tours as well. But even without a guide, there's a structure, and they want people to follow, like go from here to there. Everything just flows from that's how the dashboard by design should feel like, right? So everything is kind of structured, and like, yep, so this thing is kind of grouped. And again, I'm not very happy with the results, but you get the idea, you get the concept that I'm talking about. So yeah, I think this should be kind of set apart. And now, if you do that, right, then it will kind of make sense. When somebody clicks top 5, then and say, yep, I can see this is filtering. And again, you can try kind of different things. You can change kind of the color scheme in here. Maybe you can change all of this to kind of, again, shade of gray. No right or wrong answer. Just kind of experiment and see how that works. Cool, man. I mean, this is really amazing. Box seems better. I'm starting to feel like that for this one. And gosh, I mean, again, I mean, it's so keep it the lightest shade, because that's all you need. You need only a little bit hint. All right, awesome. So let's see. What else did we have for here? Oh God, I was supposed to timestamp this anyway. So Victor, we covered. I think it was 0918. Something. So Nemanja and Vijay. Nemanja, if you are still on, just type that in the chat box, because it's always a little bit more exciting if the person is present. So we're going to close out this, and I'm going to open Nemanja's dashboard. Hopefully I'm saying the name right. Okay. And folks, students who are on the phone, if you submitted the dashboard, then just speak up. I take my eyes off of the chat here because I am watching the YouTube chat. So just unmute yourself and just say, hey Avi, I'd send it in the dashboard, and we can jump right to that. Okay, dashboard coming up. Huh, weird. Dashboard number 2. Oh. Oh, whoa. Okay, so first of all, again, we're going to start by celebrating the fact that Nemanja created this dashboard and shared this with us, because that can be the first or the next step in your journey to share your story. Because guys, come on, let's face it, in this day and age, you can't just do good work, you got to tell great stories. So it's a choice, right? I mean, you can have that life. I was at Microsoft and I saw people who had worked there for decades just laid off like that. Or you can start telling your stories. So Nemanja, thank you for doing that. Thank you for submitting this. So let's kind of celebrate it first. So what are we looking at? Is it our so what is the dashboard about? So again, I mean, does the dashboard need a title? Not necessarily. Like again, operational reports are often, so again, there are 3 kinds, right? Infographic, operational report, and then storytelling. And I'll say infographic definitely needs a title. Storytelling, mostly if you are there presenting. So storytelling could be presentation, could be without somebody present as well. Operation report, hey, if they're watching something every day, every week, they know what it is. You don't necessarily need a title. But yeah, so for me, let me see what kind of data it has. Oh, okay. We're going to pretend we didn't see that. because this is not modeling by design. This is dashboard by design. So yeah, so something about order value, units sold, customer product, customer meetings. That's interesting. Order value of product type. So this is the first tab is okay. I should have looked at that first. The first tab, the tab name is product by country, and the next tab here is customer by year, and then it is sales agents by year. So great. So I'm imagining some kind of organization selling some product, and it has this sales team, and so this is really good. This is giving them a high level view pretty much across a wide swath of their business. Right. So yeah, you can see kind of the products, how is the world there, focus on kind of the customer lens, and then focus on kind of more internal kind of sales agents, how they're performing. So I like that. I like that structure, and of course that's the strength of Power BI, that it can bring different aspects of your business together. I was speaking to a business earlier this week, and they were talking about how the production team, which is cranking out products, they wanted to have the production team have visibility to what is coming in the sales pipeline. So not just be able to see the backlogs, but to be able to see that, oh, look, I mean, sales did a great job in January, and they generated a lot of leads, and those are now working through the system. And in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to have a lot more orders, something like that. So so again, there's the sales agents kind of working, trying to get the orders, and if the production team only sees it when the order has been completed, then they're kind of in the reactive mode all the time. What if they could see things proactively, right? They could see that, oh yeah, the sales. They could see how the sales, kind of funnel is kind of, it's like how it's doing, and then they can be proactive based on that. So, we know that 3 months from now we're going to have a lot of orders submitted. So anyway, things like that. So yeah. So this is a great kind of a product view, customer view, sales agent view, and I'm going to assume that everybody has seen my beautiful dashboard video, the one that I pointed out earlier. This guy create a beautiful Power BI dashboard, because I'm generally seeing elements of the Power Pattern. So again, I love putting the high level numbers up top. I love using big cards like that, like boom, right there. And then I love doing kind of some breakdown and trends and so forth. Because there are trends here. So breakdown and trends, and then maybe a little bit of detail. So I like that. I like high level numbers at the top, and then there are different breakdowns and trends available over here. So all of that is good. What else can we celebrate about this? So customer, this one I would say, it has kind of the same pattern again, kind of high level numbers and some kind of breakdowns and trends and so forth. So I like that. Slicers are pretty much in the same position. So this one is product, great, and this one is by year. And let's look at sales agents. And it has the same bones, same skeleton, kind of high level numbers, and then different breakout and trends. Now, of course, half of you have probably already guessed the kind of feedback I'm going to give based on the first dashboard we looked at by Victor, which is, so again, in Victor, what we saw was that it was a consistent pattern from one sheet to the other. Really simple trick, and again, something that I do talk about in this video, beautiful Power BI dashboard. And I think that's a small tweak that could help Nemanja quite a bit. That maybe get consistent with the pattern. So if you're showing, if you have some high level numbers, always show them at the top. This is a great place, because again, that's the most valuable real estate. So right now, you notice that how it kind of shifts around a little bit, right? So you go to the second page, and the numbers are kind of shifted to the right in this case a little bit, and then on the sales agent page, they go way off to the side. And again, you can kind of experiment, and I know sometimes you're trying to fit in different elements and do this and that, and but generally, if you have the kind of the same structure. Now, if you do notice that the map is generally in the same spot, right? So that is good. That is the kind of thing that we're going for. That below the high level numbers at top, and then below is the map. All right, let me see if my document. Oh, my document opened. Yay. All right. Anyway, all right. So back here on Nemanja's, maybe we can find other things to celebrate here. For one, lots. It seems like there are lots of good metrics, and which the business would care about, which is interesting. And there seems to be a little bit of blending as well. I'm not sure, like, what is customer meetings? Is that by sales? Mm, or is that something else? But that could be, if that's that, maybe that's a good thing, right? So again, I mean, just because it's a product dashboard doesn't mean that you can't show elements from other arenas which apply, right? So in this case, maybe this is like sales meetings, something like that. Awesome. So let's see how we can help Nemanja get to kind of the next level. Again, the first time you tell your story, folks, is going to be the worst time, but you do it again and again and again. And we hope that this platform is just, well, if you've already been doing it, then this is the next step. It gives you some more motivation, encouragement. But then or this is your first step, I don't know, but we want you to continue this journey. That you come up here, you share your dashboard, show it to the world. If you're on the phone, if you're a student, you talk about it, you tell that story to me, to the audience. And then if there's some feedback, you go back and improve it, and then you share the story again. Maybe next time you do it using a LinkedIn article. Maybe after that, you present it at a local meetup group, or, well, virtual meetup group. I guess we're all virtual meetup groups now. And next time you present it at a virtual conference, right? So, or an in-person conference when this crisis is over, right? So once you get a story, you got to tell it again and again and again. And there's no harm. In fact, I would strongly encourage telling the same story, the same dashboard, basically, presenting that again and again and again, because you'll find that that's how you get better and better and better. Yeah, so before you know it, you'll be speaking at conferences. I'll be inviting you, like, hey, do you mind presenting at a conference? Awesome. So let's see how we can help Nemanja get to the next level. So first thing we already talked about, which is kind of use a pattern. So the structure, the elements are here, kind of high level data and the detail, but use them in a more consistent pattern through these different tabs. So when I go to the next tab and the next tab and the next tab, I want to see the high level numbers in the same spot. I want to see the map in the same spot, the trends in the same spot, and so forth. All right, now let's do the thing that we said that we generally do in the beginning, which is do a squint test. If I do a squint test, you can just kind of half close your eyes and see what grabs your attention. And this one is kind of tricky. So I would certainly say the number one is the map. Why? Because for one, it's one of the biggest elements there. And man, it's got lots of color and red as well. So red, again, we have this connection in our minds with red. I don't know if it has to do with traffic light or if it goes earlier, it's more primal. I don't know, right? I mean, but we definitely have this connection with red. So that is actually pretty loud, that element. And again, if it is by design that you do want the user to focus on that, great. If that was not your intent, well, then you just want to change things, right? So you just do a squint test, and I'll say, so I saw this as the number one, this guy, and after that was actually not odd at all, is this element. So map was number one, this was number two. Now, why is that? So we have talked about earlier that how generally people scan from left to right and top to bottom because that's how we read for most languages. English, certainly. Of course, Arabic and stuff, if somebody who's grown up reading Arabic, they probably would scan like this. Right, so watch out if you're working with somebody in Saudi Arabia. I think we had one dashboard submission from there. So generally we scan this way, and that makes the top the most important and this part the most important. But as Stephen Few says, so what Stephen Few says is the two most important areas in your dashboard are actually this top left, but also the center. So yeah, so no surprise there. I mean, and this one is like bang in the center, and I think there's something about that it's begging, it's demanding attention. So again, if it's by intent, if that's intentional, then that's good. If that's not intentional, then that's not good. So again, you're giving them a museum tour. You're their guide without actually being there, without actually physically being present. So in a presentation, you can do stuff like I'm doing. Like you can call attention, you can demand attention, you can draw something, point something, use a laser point at something. But if you're not there, you still want them to have kind of that guided tour experience. How do you do that, right? All right, so I'll say that's the squint test, and again, so you can think about that. Is that what I want to focus? Generally, I want these guys to be the focus, and yeah. So maybe you can do stuff like that, and I think I covered that in the beautiful dashboard video, and so forth. So what else? So here. So sorry, folks. I was hearing some noise on the Zoom, so I had to put it in mute. If you do have to speak up, just unmute yourself. Talk anytime. And here, what else? So I feel like, yeah, these numbers should pop out a little more. And again, you can try using a little bit more white space. White space is one of the simplest and most powerful elements you can use. You can use size. I mean, they are pretty big. I think they're big enough, but you could experiment if you want, just making them even bigger. I think they're big enough, though. You can definitely use some white space. You can try using a kind of a line here. And if you really need to, you can put a box around these to kind of pop them out. Again, the box, shading of the box, keep it the lightest shade that still works. That still makes it pop out. But again, if you make it like really kind of something bright, it's not the star. The star is your data, so let your data shine. So I think you can do some work there. So again, folks, we talked about pixel economy, and I talk about it in my beautiful dashboard video. The goal is to kind of focus on the data pixels, maximize those, highlight those, and minimize or eliminate the non-data pixels. And one of the classic examples of non-data pixels are all of these backgrounds. So I will say all of those can go. I really feel that in this dashboard, every single box can be removed, and then you can use kind of white space to align things and so forth and make it look visually kind of nice, right? So again, I mean, if you want, so again, so let's try it for these two guys at least. So let's go here, and God, how do I border? Okay, so border I'm going to turn off. So again, if in your mind you want these two to kind of be together, then just put some white space between that and other elements. You get the idea, right? So, and really, I think all of the black boxes around those can go. They're not data pixels. Yeah, so eliminate them if you can. If in some cases you're like, if I eliminate, man, I really needed that, then bring it back, but bring it in the lightest shade of gray that you can. Fall in love with the shades of gray, my friend. All right. Okay, so the boxes can go. How else can we help take Nemanja's story to a whole different level? So we already talked about the structure. I think that's going to be awesome. That's going to make the world of a difference. Cool. So again, thinking about the guided tour, map, by the way, people love maps, but they're probably the element that's misused the most often. So maps are actually often really crappy at conveying information. And in this instance, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can make up my mind quite yet. But maps are often misused, and often what's shown in map is more of a novelty factor. That everybody likes looking at a map. And I know I build it for a client and they want a map, or I put a map and they're like, oh, that looks so cool. But guys, we're not going for the cool factors and not an infographic. We're talking about an operational report. And basically we want people to be able to make decisions based on that, right? So map is not an effective visual in most cases, in many cases, not all, I would say. In this case, I think it may be a fair enough use, but I would argue, what is the point of this map? What action can any user take from this? Right? So again, I mean, if you look at, so we had it on Victor's dashboard was this percentage change. And I'm not sure in that dashboard, and imagine if you have like percentage change year over year for my sales. and then you even have some targets around it. So it's like, oh, if it's below 5%, that's bad, color it red. If it's above 5%, it's good, color it green or something like that, right? And that can be so much actionable, right? So you can say, oh, look, it's red, and you know that needs my action. So here, I would question that. So again, I mean, I have no idea what Nemanja. I don't know. I don't have him on the phone, so I can't ask him that. But I would kind of question, like, what's the purpose of this? If it's to look just cool, at least we can do is to minimize it, because I'm not sure what value it's adding. So again, for operational report, it doesn't make sense. But if it was like more of a storytelling report, imagine you're doing a one-time presentation to investors. Just, obviously investors, you're not going to have that every day, but this one day, one special day, investors are coming in, and you want to showcase to them that how we are spread across the world. Use a map and tell your stories. Like, guys, as you can see, we have presence in all over the world, and we have and then you would emphasize that story. You would add up this number, because again, maps are kind of ineffective. It's like, how many dots are there? I have no idea. So you would put a big bold number here saying, hey, we are in 192 different countries. That may be too many, but whatever, 57 different countries, something like that, right? So again, so if you're in storytelling mode, then you can use it that way and use the map and use a big bold number, and they go hand in hand. But in an operational report, I usually often question the map. I think, how is it actionable? So what I'll say is, if you do need this, I at least wouldn't make it the most dominant element. And usually what's a good idea is to have the high level numbers and then show some breakdown and trends, or trends and breakdown. Either are good, right? So I'll start with that. And again, you got a few different elements, so you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to kind of figure out how do you align and all that stuff and so forth. But that's go with that kind of intent for now. That show breakdown and trends. I'm just trying things around. And then you can de-emphasize the map a bit, at least put it in a less important position, right? So again, the general order of importance is like this, because that's the way we read. So what's at the top left is the most important, less important, less important, less important, and then least important, right? So I wouldn't mind even if you shoved the map down in this corner, so I would be okay with that. But again, depends on what your goal is, right? So again, I had that storytelling scenario, investors, and you want to emphasize how many towns, dang it, make the map bigger and put the number up top, like, hey, we're in X different countries and something like that, right? So anyway, and the other thing for the map for this one specifically is that, man, there's a lot of red going on. So I'm going to take a quick peek in that and see how I've forgotten how do you do color. How country legend, how is the color controlled? I thought I would find it here somewhere. Maybe not. Data colors? Oh, aha! Hey, that is cool stuff. So this is a function. Let me see what it is. What is it? Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so color scale. So folks, so I don't think this is very effective. So we've talked about shades of gray. I'm a huge fan of shades of gray, right? Or single color. That often works better than this. So right now it's like, at least I think in this case, given the way it's set up, it's just the lowest value, middle value, highest value, right? It's just a little bit too much. And I think let's just try something different. How can I? So I'm going to uncheck diverging. So the middle value is gone because it doesn't make sense. And what if we used the same color? And what color am I going to use? Man, I'm not a huge fan of this color palette, but let's see. What if we use this one? And then we used the lightest shade of that, something like that. I want it. Again, you can play around with it, but yeah. So I think the color there was the red was a little too much. And again, red is often a sign of like danger alert. So you want to be cautious, careful about where you use red. Red demands attention. So again, dashboard by design, not by accident. So use red where you want to demand their attention. That, hey, there's something wrong here, buddy. You better take a look at this, right? So if that's not the case, then do something else. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this, how it turned out. So use a different color. But you get the idea where I'm going with this, right? That, yeah, I mean, I don't think red certainly had to be done away with, because that was a bit much. Let's try some other shade and see how it works. How about purple? Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. And then this one. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, I still feel that I think there's a lot going on. So let's see here. So sum of units sold, that's what we're doing color based on. But we already have size as well, which is based on order value. Yeah. What I'll see is that, is the order value always high when the what is the relationship between order value and the sum of units sold, right? So this is units sold, and then the size of the bubble is order value. If generally the more the units sold, the higher the order value, then you don't need to encode both of them. You just don't, right? So it's right. I mean, yeah. So if it's, let's say there's a linear relationship, then it's just you're overloading the user with too much information. So again, I don't know if that's the case. I'll have to do some slicing and dicing here. But if the order, then you can either remove the size thing and just use color to indicate it. Up to you. And again, it's not quite working in this graph, but in some cases that would work. That would exactly what you want. That, yep, color is used to differentiate it, and I'm not using size. Or if you're showing size and order value, then you don't have to use color, right? Because again, I mean, depends what's the relationship is between the two things we're trying to encode in this map. And hey, please guys, just do me a favor, do me a solid, all right? Don't do the bloody pie charts in here. Never, please. Let's just say no to that, right? That, maps is hard enough to work with. It's really challenging. And when you add a category on this and you do it pie charts, then it just goes to, goes down really, really quick. All right. So hopefully some of those ideas will help Nemanja. Let's poke around. So some of the similar advice: follow the pattern, remove the box backgrounds, think about the structure. You generally want to start with kind of high-level numbers at the top. Breakdown, which I'll go for these guys. These guys are good breakdowns. And then trends, a little bit of detail, and map. So map, we already talked about that. Sales agents, let's look at that. I would say pretty similar. So again, this is classic. So again, kudos to Nemanja for using all the right elements. So again, this has got good bones. The bones are high-level numbers. It has that. They just need to be highlighted, right? And again, I like putting them bang right there, the first thing that user typically sees. So it's got it's got high-level numbers. It's got breakdowns, which is awesome. Breakdown is awesome. This one is we'll talk about that. And then map, okay, I'll allow it. And then this is the detail. So if you think about it, how do we consume information visually? Well, so this one is relatively easy to consume, kind of one big number, and we can take it in, right? But possibly the easiest is often the graphical information, right? That, like, for example, you may not realize it. Well, you probably do realize it, but this kind of stuff, that this one stands apart, this one stands apart, this is what's called a precognition, something like that. And which basically, we register these things even before it kind of hits our brain. It's insane how fast that happens. So that's the power of visuals. And I've seen some Excel folks who transitioned to Power BI. Maybe I was the same when I started, where they can't help but just use tables and matrix, and they can't seem to grow out of that. And again, folks, this Power BI dashboard and the power pattern that I talk about in there is going to help you get out of that. So you do want some visual elements, because again, the way we perceive them is totally different, and it's extremely powerful. And when you compare that with a table of values, now table can be a very effective visuals. By the way, my staple visuals are what I call table visuals, which I include the card visuals in there. Basically anything that's showing like a number, right? So the card visuals, the multi-row card, table matrix, all of them are in one category for me. That, column chart, bar chart, and line charts. That's it. That's the staple. And that's the only things I use in Power BI dashboard. And not just that, folks, I eat my own dog food. So when I build something for a client, 95% of the time, the first iteration of dashboard that I build just has these elements. The table, card, matrix, one of those elements. Like that element, column chart, a bar chart, and line chart. That's it. And again, so I'm not just saying it. That is what I build for my clients as well. So table is a good element, but if you think about this, think about how much processing power, processing time it's going to take you to process this stuff. Man, it takes a heck of a lot of time than reading this graph and getting that, oh boy, Jordan is hitting it out of the park, right? How easy is that? It's like crazy. So table elements. So again, this has good bones. It's got the high level numbers, it's got the breakdowns, and it's got the detail. But generally, the way I lay out things is that I put the high level number here, so users can start with that, like boom, that's, and then with the breakdowns they can understand that number. It's like, okay, well, these are my total orders, total units sold, and then I can see the units sold breakdown. By agent, and right, so I can understand that what is that big number made up of. So I see this big number, and it's Jordan is like, so I can see that. I can see trends. So this one doesn't have trends. That could be interesting too. And then lastly, this detail, I often put it on this side. So again, in the order of importance, right? In that order. So I put detail in the end because that takes some time. So we have the detail, but that often comes later. Once we absorb everything else, we're giving them a guided tour, and then it's like, oh, now I'm ready for the detail. Or maybe the way they're using this table is that they're clicking this, and then they're reading the details. Okay, I want to really see how Jordan did and what's he doing over there. You know what, guys? What I'm going to do is I'll maybe try to bring up the sample dashboard. I feel like I had one more thought here, which was what? God, it's so close. So we have the detail. Something about the detail. Yeah, this is certainly interesting data. Wow, this is pretty cool. Okay. So folks, I think it's got great bones. With just a little bit of tweaking, this could really shine. And of course, folks, Power BI is agile BI, so always you're going to be working in iterative cycles, and every cycle you kind of keep getting better. So that's the way to do it. There's some love needed for the model side. I wouldn't go into that, but if you watched my 60-minute tutorial, I start there, and of course my course goes a lot deeper and talks about modeling. It's the strength of Power BI is actually under the hood. It's the query editor or transform data engine, and then it is the model, which is pretty much represented in the relationship view, which is going to be your data, lookup tables, your DAX measures. Those are extremely powerful. And once you have done that, then visualization is frankly this art side. That's the way at least I see it, right? I mean, if you see this, that in this world, there are not that many rules, right? I mean, it's just kind of art. Oh, does this look better? Does that look better? And you have to kind of experiment. So it is like kind of creating an art. That's the way I see it. So that's the only part that's left out. And of course, it becomes really easy because all you're doing is you're kind of dragging and dropping elements here. So cool. So again, so folks, maybe I should give that heads up at the beginning. If you are just starting out, start out with my 60-minute tutorial, and then of course the next step is I would love to see you inside my Learn Power BI program, and you can go to our website learnpowerbi.com to get more information, sign up for the waitlist, and so forth. Awesome. Let me check in on the YouTube comments. Let me check in with our folks on the phone. So Juan is going to send me one. That's awesome. Hey, so Juan, once you've sent it, just unmute yourself and give me a shout out. It's like, hey Avi, I sent it. Check your inbox.
Hi, Avi.
Hi. Sorry. Who's this? Who's speaking?
Juan.
Juan. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So yeah. Did you already send it?
yeah.
Ooh,
It's
awesome.
not a finished dashboard. I am working on
Hey,
it.
yeah. Find me a finished dashboard, and man, I'll give you $1,000,000. I don't think they're ever done. I've never seen a finished dashboard yet. So you're in
So
good company there. All
yeah,
right.
I was working it with Ken in some measures and some visuals.
Nice.
Well, I want your opinion, and if you can help me in one average that is not like calculating right.
Ooh. Oh, you might dive into some DAX guys. Say, hey guys, there might be some bonus segment coming in. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do that. Brian has a great suggestion, which is, and this would be a simple change, is using commas in here, and that of course makes it human friendly, makes it more readable. Thank you, Brian. Uh, yeah, so Nemanja, yeah, I mean it's really good stuff. And hey, folks, right, we hope that this is a start of an epic journey for you. And yes, tell your story here. if, um, yeah, I mean, if this is your first break, I'm glad. I mean, that's why this platform is here for people to get started on this journey. But then, so I was part of a Toastmasters club, which is a public speaking club, which many of you may have heard about. And there was a saying in there, and they said that never miss an opportunity to kind of step up and speak. And I feel like the same way, that never miss an opportunity to kind of share your story. So if you have, create opportunities, in fact, right? So create opportunities inside your company, and wherever you can find, right? So you can do a brown bag or like a lunch hour, lunch and learn or whatever. That's how I started in my journey. I mean, I loved Power BI. I fell in love with it, created some stuff, and then I was so excited. And I want to share it with others. So at Microsoft, grew up Microsoft Learning, which was actually a small group of just about 300 people. And I would do these kind of lunch and learn hours. Hey guys, let me show you kind of what I got and so forth. So you can start there. You can write LinkedIn articles. I'm a huge fan of those. Huge fan of LinkedIn as a platform. And you can of course go to kind of meetups, virtual meetups, present there. You can think about conferences. We're planning a conference, in a few months now, so that's going to be coming up. But yeah, kind of tell your story, tell your story, tell your story. And of course, some of the most powerful venues where you can tell your story are one-on-one meetings. Now, these could be with your future employer, or you may or may not know it. You know what Jack Welch said: every meeting is an interview. So you could be meeting a friend, a colleague, an ex-colleague for lunch. Who knows? I mean, and you say, hey, what are you up to? And say, yeah, this is what I'm up to. And maybe you bring it up on your phone and show them the dashboard, or you just talk about it. And yeah, either way, you kind of tell that story. And of course, it could be a real interview for your next position. It could be a conversation with a client or a prospective client. Could be any of those. Those are also great opportunities for you to tell your story. And again, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And guys, this has nothing to do with, oh, but that's not me, and I'm an introvert, and I don't like that stuff, and all that stuff. This is a learned skill, and it is going to be a choice. Frankly, the choice is between having a good enough life that, yeah, it was okay, it's okay, or having a great life. So that's really the choice. And I'm not going to judge you on whether you make this choice or not, but I just want you to understand the consequences. Right? Awesome. I'll get out of my soapbox. So, uh, Vijay. Vijay is in the Learn part of your family. Yeah, mate. So I suppose you were not able to dial in. God, Vijay. So, Vijay, are you gonna be able to dial in on the phone thingy? Let's see if I can. Where's the link? Oh. So, Vijay, if you can dial in, that would help. But I will definitely prioritize that. Let's see what other comments came in. Yeah, Jim. So hold on. If you're on the wait list, we're gonna be opening it really soon. So just watch out for an email from us. Mm, Linear regression using R language? No, mate. I'll admit, I don't know the R of R. I mean, yeah, I don't know R or Python, and so I couldn't help you there. But yeah, hopefully you will get help. Okay, cool. So Vijay, I'll see if you can join in. That'll be awesome, man. Hey, who answered? So the way the dashboard makeover I get those emails is it's not very high tech, but if people go here and if they click this, then it puts dashboard makeover in the subject of the email, and that's
Okay.
how I kind of get it. But it doesn't seem. What was the subject of the email? It doesn't seem it was dashboard makeover because it didn't end up here for me.
Let me check. Let me check. I send you as a
Oh, Kim Dash. Is that it?
Kim Dash. Yes,
Okay,
Kim Dash.
cool. Well, I got it. I found it. So I'm gonna move that over. Ooh, hold on. Having fun with Outlook here. So Vijay, whether or not you're able to join the phone, I promise we'll get to yours next. Let me look at Kim's, not Kim. Well, Juan's dashboard. Uh, all right, exciting. And top Power BI. This is on. Whew, man, this is cool stuff.
My second dashboard, Avi.
Awesome, man. That's great. What happened with my download? Oh, it stopped. All right, let me do this. Let me also open. Oh, the finance model is there. Cool. Let's try that one. Mm, 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 mm. So I'm gonna close this guy. And let's go over here. Which I promise you're gonna be next. 10:36. Oh, we don't have it open yet. Boy, what's sorry, hold on. I seem to be having some network issues with this guy.
No. Why? Let me check.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my side, but I mean, it's a big file, but it's not that big.
I know that's strange.
Yeah, it's not happy. Like it downloads a little bit and then it fails. Mm, maybe, do you have it up on your screen? Maybe you can share your screen.
Okay,
So I'm going to stop sharing my side. Go ahead and share your screen.
wait. So
Awesome, awesome, great. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so open the file.
maybe because I don't have the ultimate version of Power BI. Is that a
No,
problem?
no,
No.
I don't think that could be affect my download. Yeah, it could
Okay.
be a network side, as I said. I mean, since everybody's working from home now, I've noticed that the network speed isn't what it used to be. But yeah, all right. So we're looking at your screen,
Yeah.
and you know what? Let me request. How to request keyboard and mouse if I can. Okay, but since we have you doing this, maybe collapse some of the filter visualization fields panes and maybe the menu as well, and give us a tour. Tell us a story of this dashboard.
Okay. This dashboard is a commercial for the sales area.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the data was shared from a friend of mine. He
Mm-hmm.
is the North region manager. So he wanted to see uh, interactive report so it can help him with his decisions in a better way, in a faster way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my problem is this one. As you can see,
Oh,
this
hold on,
one.
hold on. Let's not worry about the
Okay.
problem. Let's celebrate
Oh,
this
okay.
story here first, right? So, awesome.
Right.
So tell us more.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your thought process of how you built it, what elements are there, what you feel is important, and
Well,
if there's something on page two, kind of take us there too.
I am building the page too.
Okay, okay, all
Uh,
right. Let's focus on page
so
one. So
page
yeah,
one.
so walk us through. Tell us more. Tell us
Okay.
how you think it helps your client.
Uh, he wanted to see in a quicker way that the sales every month and
Yeah,
from the years. So here I put like the measure from each year.
yeah.
So we have my table here. This is
I can see that I'm not the only one who loves measures.
yeah. Revenue,
Yeah.
sales without no, how do you say without the interest and all those things, or sales out of revenue, something like that.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah,
so here the 3 years data.
yeah.
We have only January in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Then I compare the 3 years
Yeah,
here.
got it, got it.
I make it a little a table here with the difference between the actual sales and the difference the year before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So okay, and in this is in percentage.
yeah.
Then we have I know that you're not quite a fan of the pie chart or donut chart, but
Let's just call it a breakdown. Right, so yeah, so it's a breakdown by category, great.
yeah, breakdown by category.
Yeah.
So in this way, you maybe this visual introduce you to the one that is in the bottom, that is the sales each year by category.
Yeah,
And as you can see here, it have the
by month, yeah.
by month. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I expect the last element it's pretty tight and it's got scrolling. So I sometimes do this thing too, but then I tell my client that, hey, you pop it out. So can you do me a favor? Can you pop out that element? Can you, you know that thing you click in the corner and it
Okay.
pops out, goes full screen pretty much? What happened to yeah, yeah, that guy, yep. Yeah. So I sometimes do put detail element like that where I run out of space, but I just tell my client that, hey, to look at this, just pop it out and then you can have better look. Awesome. Let's go back to report. Um, Great. And have you been able to share this with the client yet?
Not yet, because here I wanted to make the salesman analysis. A rank with the best salesman, a rank
Yeah.
of the top products,
Yeah.
top stores. But I'm working on it, so this is
Yeah.
like not ready yet. The-
Got it. Got it. Oh,
This is like the general indicators or calculations for him. Then I make this little arrow to go to the second page, but it's not working yet also.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. That should be pretty simple to fix.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing the story. I think your client is going to love it. So let's do the dashboard showcase kind of bit. So we'll do the same thing, and then we'll see the thing you're having trouble with, and see if we can help you there. But
Okay.
let's again start celebrating with kind of what is. So again, first of all, kind of kudos to Juan for sharing this, putting it up, and say, "Hey, world, here I am. Here's my story." That's great, right? And again, the
Thanks.
more times you do it, guys, the more forums you do it, is going to get better and better. And that's how you go from, just that good enough life to being great. Awesome. So in here, I love that you have put kind of the high level numbers up top. They're big and bold. And yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And then, of
Thanks.
course, you have the trends by month. You have the breakdown by the category. You have a
Yeah.
little bit of details in these tables. So again, you got good good bones, and the layout is pretty good too in general.
Yeah.
And again, this I was talking about it on the first dashboard is that with websites we are used to having navigation on the top, so that one becomes a little tricky because generally with dashboards are concerned the top area is valuable, so when I can I do try to avoid placing it there. So if you want, it's going to be like a bonus project. And again, you've heard me talk about it, right? I mean, Power BI is
Hmm.
agile BI, and always go for
Okay.
MVP. In fact, I think this is more than ready. I think you really should share it with the client, not necessarily wait for the page two. So but if you have time, kind of as a bonus project, you can play with this. That put the
Yeah.
slicers on the right basically. So lay it out kind of top down, and kind of try placing it there, and just see how that works, and if you're able to arrange elements there. Now, of course,
Okay.
for an advanced technique, and again, I wouldn't recommend doing it now, but keep it, bookmark it. No, well, keep a mental note at some time to check it out. Is that you've probably seen people where they can collapse and show a whole slicer panel. So if you think about it, slicer are not data pixels, right? I mean, right, generally they're not communicating data, so you can have it in a panel which kind of expands and collapses using bookmarks as well. But
Okay.
we'll leave that one for now. So yeah, so you can kind of experiment with that. Otherwise, yeah, the blue line there. I
Hmm.
see what you're doing. You're kind of differentiating that from the slicer, but I think you can go a little bit subtle. So again, the goal is to emphasize the data pixel, and anything that you see is the non-data pixel, you try to eliminate or minimize it. So in this case, I don't think we can eliminate it. We do want that divider to say slicer in the report, but
Yeah.
just try a thinner line. And again, there's no right or wrong. Just try it, see how it works. I actually like the box style. I actually have never done that myself. I've always used square boxes. I like them too. So, but yeah, this one I think it's kind of working.
Okay.
The one thing that I would say is that right now uh, the all the boxes are about the same size and about the same distance apart from each other. And I think there
Hmm.
are enough boxes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that I
Seven.
think. So the challenge becomes, so when I was working in Microsoft, I think one of my managers, he would give us like a lot of tasks, and then we'll say, oh, which one is more important? How should we prioritize? And say, oh, they're all P1. Oh, or the worst was they're all P0. I'm like, whatever, right? So, but the challenge is when everything is important, then nothing is important. And I wouldn't say that's what's happening here, but a little bit of that, right? So again, since there are 7 elements and they're all about the same size and the same distance apart, so think about these and like how, like which one are there like groups in here? So walk me through. So the first one is, kind of, I think it's like gross sales and then net sales and
Yeah,
something like that, right? So
yeah,
maybe
gross
if
sales.
there is, oh, okay, got it. So and what is this? What is the next piece? When it goes to Dolores?
This one is in boxes.
Yeah, yeah. So
This
if
one, sorry.
yeah, so if there are some elements which are slightly different than the other, then the
Yeah.
simplest trick you can do is just add a little bit more white space, which gives a visual break. So then it
Okay.
says, oh, this is group one. Like, right? I mean, imagine the first four are kind of closer together, and then there's a little bit of white space, and then the next three are closer to each other. Right? So these
Yeah.
four are maybe close together, the first four, and then there's a bit of space, and the next three are closer together. So that gives a visual break. So at least now I'm not faced with these 7 elements. I now
Okay.
am taking it in chunks. I'm seeing the first four, which are related to each other, so I can absorb them easily, and then my mind moves to exactly brilliant, right? I mean, again, white space is the most valuable element you can use, and then visually there's a break, and then I go to the next one and then absorb it. So that simple thing, I think, kind of makes it stand out. Awesome. So that's
Yeah, I
great.
like it too.
Mm, the trends. So what is the line in that column chart? It's a combo chart.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the line?
This is the problem one, the
Oh, okay,
problematic
okay.
one.
All right. Hold
Uh,
off. Hold on for that one. Yeah. All right. So,
it's an average, average from sales, but it's not like calculating well as you can see.
okay, okay. Got it. Got it. Huh, that's interesting. Okay.
I
Got
was
it. So,
working with Ken on this measure, but
yeah.
we
Can
can
you
like
can you pop out this element? Make it go full screen? That chart, the one you had highlighted. Awesome. So folks, yeah. So if you're showing multiple ears, you can show it a lot of different ways. Of course, if you ignore the line chart for now, imagine if we didn't have the goal of showing the average, then we could just show 3 years as line charts, and that is often done, and it looks great, works great. So, what's the key difference between line chart and a column chart like this? Line chart in general puts more emphasis on the trend, whereas column chart puts more emphasis on the individual values. And it's kind of subtle. They both work, but for seeing trends and but it's kind of subtle, and you just have to kind of experiment, see what it works. But what I would say is, in this case, if you would see that, yeah, I mean, so what this graph is, the way I interpret it, the way I think visually it's working is that it's basically kind of focusing the user to focus on like 1 month at a time. So it's January, February, and so forth. So look at January and say, oh, how do I compare over the 3 years, right? So, oh, I mean, 2 years ago I was high, so yeah, so this year clearly there's a drop, and then go on to the next month and look at that, right? So you get the idea what I'm trying to say, that column chart focuses you on the individual value. So that's how I think visually the user would go. They would look at January and say it's down, and then maybe compare February and so forth. Versus if we had 3 lines for 3 different years, then you kind of see it as a trend. You can still compare individual values, of course, but yeah. Cool. So let's pop it back in, and I feel like there's still some work in the layout. And again, you would have to experiment with it.
okay.
See if it's possible to move the table down at the bottom, maybe the bottom left, and move that chart over there or something. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that way the tables are going to be at the bottom. So tables are very dense, I mean, compared to graphs, right? I mean, and they take some effort on our side to kind of
Okay.
process. So usually you want to save them kind of for the last, visually speaking. And visually, of course, since we scan from like left to right, top down, maybe you can place it there. But otherwise, it looks good. Oh, and definitely, a huge thing to celebrate is kind of the color theme. And again, I talked about the shades of gray. It doesn't have to be kind of the gray, but usually this monochromatic kind of theme, this works, folks, far better than you throwing in a lot of colors. So colors isn't bad for sure, but what I would say is that the use of the color should be intentional. And I have found out that that's often not the case. People just use color because, again, I mean, it's not dashboard by design, it's dashboard by accident. They just put something, they use a standard palette, oh, red, blue, green, yellow, whatever that is, and it just, right, I mean, so if you're not using color intentionally, then having like a monochromatic or shades of the same color is a great one. And that, of course, you can see how beautiful and simple it looks, because again, the star is your data. You don't want something flashy or something, you want the data to shine. And one huge advantage of using like a one color and shades of the same color, gray, blue, something like that, is that it becomes really easy to grab their attention when you need to. Because if everything is a shade of gray or a shade of blue, and if you want to grab their attention, I'm like, man, this thing is, there's something wrong here. You need to look into this. And you put like a small red icon or something there, boom. I mean, they can't help but notice it. And if your dashboard is littered with color, and then even if there's a red icon, it may not be that noticeable. So yeah, man, I mean, great stuff here, good stuff. So let's see if we can help you. The main chart, and oh, I can. Okay, cool. So let me see. Can I control your mouse? Oh, I
Yeah.
can. Awesome.
Yes, you
Yay.
can.
So this one is the main chart, and you're showing
Yes.
January, and I can compare
Eight,
2018,
18, 19.
2019, 2020,
Right.
and this the line is supposed to be the average of 3 years. Is that
Mm-hmm.
what's the intent is?
Yes.
Okay,
I would like to make it like by year, but I think that the average of the three is it's okay.
average. Okay, got it. Um, so let's. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think that it's working in the sorry. I think that it's working on the second chart, bar chart.
Oh, in
It's
this one,
yeah,
it's working here.
but
Interesting.
I don't know why when I divide it by month in the first bar chart, it have that conduct.
Okay. Let's mess around with it. So I'm gonna
Okay.
duplicate this page, and I'm gonna. Oh, I think there was one other feedback, and Stephen Few talks about it too, which he talks about the level of precision.
Mm-hmm.
I think like not show the decimal in the table,
Okay.
and maybe even show that in thousands or millions, right? So that's up to you, but certainly gonna remove
Mm-hmm.
the decimals. All right, so let's come here, and we're gonna take this away. So folks, when I debug a graph, I actually never debug a graph. I always debug in a table or matrix if I have to. I'm just creating some space here. Cool. So this one, I'm gonna change, maybe keep this graph, but also have a table version of this. And we're gonna change it to oops, didn't want to do that. Is it a matrix better? Okay, let's try that. Okay, and let's do the same thing for this one where it is working.
Oh, sorry.
And is it the exactly the same measures? No, this one seems to have different measures here.
Yeah, this is like the general one. Mm,
Ah,
Venta brut is like the
okay.
or
All right. Okay, I might come back to that, but for now, let's focus on this. So I'm gonna select this one so I can look at the measures. So 2018, I would say that this is slightly unusual. Yeah, man, this one is so I have to comment on this. I mean, this is one is slightly unusual. Usually, you generally don't need to write measures like 2018, 2019, 2020 because you can use the calendar year to kind of slice and dice it. But another problem with this is that this is hard coded. So what happens in 2021 and 2022 and so on and so forth? And yeah, so there could be other ways to do it. We may not get into that today, but you can say that kind of gross sales current year, and that'll always be the current year. So if it's right now it's 2020, it's going to be 2020. Next year it's automatically going to be 2021, and you can say sales prior year. Or maybe sales year -1, sales year -2, something like that, right? So that way it's more generic; it's not hard coded.
Okay.
Cool, but we're gonna sidestep that one for now, and this one seems like a pretty straightforward measure. Yep, sum of something, and then you're saying año, which is year, is 2018, and the only small thing here I would say is that instead of sum of that, I would expect that you probably have a measure which is sum of fact ventas, venta bruta soles. Just reuse that measure. It's a small thing, but generally, if I have some measure defined, I just reuse it. Actually, let me. Maybe it's right here. So
Yeah,
so this thing is already defined. So might as well in this one, instead of saying sum of this, you can just use. Oh, do you have a? Oh, that's kind of weird. Do you have a column with the same name?
Yeah, I have a
Okay.
column.
Okay. That's I think you could. Okay, we'll leave it for now. So I understand these three. These ones really straightforward, simple. So let's look at this one. So you're saying, oh, what happened there? So you're saying average of this.
Of that
Oh,
column in
yeah,
the fact table, but
yeah,
considering all the dates,
yeah, man. That
kind of
I don't
hard.
think that's gonna work. Because you really want to average it over the years that are being shown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what this one is doing is it's going to interesting.
And the average drops down because 2020 just have 1 month, that is January.
Okay. So hey, I do want to move on to Kavij's dashboard. So
Okay.
let me give you a little bit of a guideline, and then
Okay.
if you have time at the end of the call, if you're still around,
Mm-hmm.
and you happen to be able to figure it out, then we can maybe dive in.
Okay,
So
no problem.
what you need to do here is I think what's going on here is you're saying you're clearing the filter. Fact
Mm-hmm.
does fecha. Let's look at the diagram here. So you're clearing the filter on here. Fecha is what? Is that the date?
Yeah, the date.
Yeah. So you're clearing the filter, but then you are saying in that table
Date.
you're averaging this column,
Yeah.
which is not what you want. You want to average it over these three values.
Yeah.
So what you need is actually, so if you think about it, I want to go year by year and then want to average it. And whenever you hear yourself saying things like I want to go year by year, which is basically row by row, which is basically an iterator function, and
Mm-hmm.
those are the x functions, right? So
Yeah.
what you need is average x, and you're going to
Okay.
say call upon average x, and you're going
Okay.
to say iterate over years. And how you do that is you say values calendar year. So that's going to be your first parameter.
Okay.
And then you're going to say, okay, go row by row in each year. And then for each of those, calculate this guy, Venta Bruta Soles, which is your sum
Mm-hmm.
of sales.
Yeah.
And then in the end, average it, right? That's what average X is, right? So it starts with the X, iterate, go year over year, values calendar year. And then its second parameter is going to be Venta Bruta Soles. So try that, see how that works. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Avi.
All
Thank
right, man.
you.
Okay, so we'll probably circle back to you, at the end, as you find time. Okay, folks. So let me share my screen. Screen 2. And oh yeah, so I'm glad we will do that because my download certainly didn't work. Okay, let's see. So Vijay, if you're still on, I hope you're on. Then thank you so much for your patience. Let me go back. See, boy, I missed out a whole bunch of conversation. Sometimes people are helping each other, which is always a good thing. That's what the community is for. Salah, yes, you can send a dashboard to me. You can do that by just going to our site, go to the under free resources, look for dashboard makeover, and that is a link to submit your entry. It's not very high tech right now. It just sends an email, but that is important. Well, the subject is important at least. It's got a few important things. For one, to be able to show your dashboard, we need this disclaimer from you, because otherwise sometimes people send me files and I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's your company data, so this has those disclaimer there that you understand that it's going to be shared on YouTube, you've hidden or blurred. And one way to do that is to just send screenshots. Some people have. And another important thing is the subject. So because that filters it, ends up in my dashboard makeover folder. So just go there, dashboard makeover, submit entry, and we'll get to that. But I'm looking for Vijay right now. Okay, so Vijay is unable to dial in. Yep, no worries. So we'll cover that. So Avi, where can I find some raw data where I can start my beginner dashboard? So folks, if you look for my tutorial, the 60-minute tutorial, this guy, Power BI tutorial from beginner to pro, 60 minutes, that has a link to the download files as well. And frankly, that's a data set that I use even inside my class. So yeah, I mean, with that data set, you can go on and teach quite a bit. And of course, if you're not in my class, then you can still experiment with that data set. So that's a good data set. And it used to be an Access file, which was so hard to deal with. Thankfully now that this is an Excel file. Not Access. Access, by the way, the challenges there were the 32-bit, 64-bit problem. That, yeah. Oh God, I'm not gonna get in there right now. But yeah, so go grab those download files there. I'm new to Power BI. How do I start? This is it, folks. So Power BI tutorial beginner pro, 60 minutes, and then after that, if you're interested, then if you go to my site and click on training and stuff, then you can sign up for the wait list. And actually, let me do this. So let me give you a quick tour of the course. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. Come on. Okay, there we go. And the course pretty much picks up where that 60-minute tutorial ends. Well, actually, yeah. So the 60-minute tutorial, inside the course, we have an expanded version of that. So that one is 60 minutes. This one is 2.5 hours. Because again, in this one, I'm not in a hurry, right? I mean, YouTube video, I don't know if I made a 2.5 hour video. I don't know if anybody will watch it. So this one, I take my time to kind of go deeper into the concepts, explain them more. So this is an expanded version of the 60-minute tutorial, but then we get into the core stuff, which is, as I said, the power is under the hood. So the query editor, relationships, DAX, we dive deeper into each one of those. Visuals, and again, we focus on the core concepts, Power BI platform, and that's it. So, but of course, the course, the way it's structured is that it's got two philosophies. God, I'm blanking out. But let me see. So certainly it has one of this, what I call the agile approach, right? So Power BI is agile BI, so that's the way you should learn as well. And folks, whether you enroll in my course or not, I would suggest that you follow this advice. So real learning comes from doing. So what I encourage our students to do is go through these concepts, use the files, the download files, which are available in each of these lessons to follow along, but then go apply it to your own data set. And I know folks who are in between jobs, that's problematic. We can talk about that. We do have options for you. But generally, if you are at a company, go apply it at your data set. So that's the kind of the learning, doing. And then this is the crucial piece, that when you start applying it, inevitably you're going to hit roadblocks. One quite a bit maybe. And the thing is, you got to start celebrating those fails, because that's when the real learning happens. As long as you can get over those roadblocks. If you stay stuck, of course, then you're not moving forward. But that's where we have the community, which is an amazing community. Man, there's some amazing folks here. So folks, we're now, I don't know, like definitely 1,000+ students. Not all of them are active in the community, of course, but many are. And so some of them are veterans, and they're willing to kind of help each other and so forth. And of course, I pop in there as well. We do the monthly Q&A. Students get a call, and all that sort of stuff, right? So that's kind of the philosophy behind the course. So frankly, guys, the truth is that online courses don't work. Come on, let's just face it, right? So they don't work because I know how many courses I've signed up for and never got anywhere. So we need something more, right? So you need a course, but then you need to do the work, but then you need the coaching and the community support as well. So that's what I've tried to do with Learn Power BI. I have all of those there. And frankly, even our high-level programs are structured the same way. So the Pro Plus, where we are focused on, kind of helping people walk on the path to become independent Power BI consultants, they're structured the same way, because it works. Of course, that is a smaller group. We're about 30 folks right now. So it's a smaller group, so they, I can give them a lot more attention. They can form deeper connections between that. Juan is a member of that group, and he mentioned that him and Ken, and they're both members in that group. They've been working together on this. So, there are more opportunities for kind of deeper connections and so forth. So, but the structure is the same, right? There's training, there's coaching, community, and sometimes there are these special things that we do, like real Power BI. All right, cool. So start with the 60-minute tutorial, and then if you want to continue the journey with me, then those are some of the options you have. Where to start? Prerequisite to learn Power BI. Yep, 60 minutes. So we talked about that. I made a dashboard for my boss because I'm an internship, but I want to show them the dashboard. Microsoft Business Application Summit will be online this year, May 6th, and it is free. That's awesome. That's great. That's funny. So, folks, actually that thanks for sharing that. I actually didn't know. So we do this thing where we have what we call the winner circle, and every month we do this inside our Learn Power BI program, and we have this thing where we want students to kind of celebrate their wins, because it becomes a really positive force inside the group. And again, when you see somebody sharing their wins, we want you to think of that as an example of what's possible. So we've heard some amazing stuff. This was in March. So let's just read some of so these were the nominees, you can see. And so some of the wins. So I'm huge on focusing on chosen niche. So somebody did that. I know who this person is. They're using 3D printed. Charles Elwood. I showed you the site earlier. They're using 3D printers to help print face shield and masks for hospitals. And again, I'm all about sharing the story, so somebody shared that win. So yeah, so students, kind of share these different wins. Got an invite to conduct a visualization workshop. Officially launched this company. Awesome. Recognition in Latin America for teaching Power BI, teaching a senior level finance course, help to coach student issues, right? So people doing amazing things, and we want to call that out. We want to celebrate that, because again, it brings up positive energy. And folks, whatever you celebrate, whatever you bring your focus to, and whatever you feel grateful for, you invite more of that in our lives, and we want to do that collectively. And you can see the names of the people, some for students, and we pick one winner from that. So Arjun, he's an amazing member in the Learn Power BI community, probably the most active, maybe by far. Maybe Peter Linden is a close second, or maybe first. But yeah, those two kind of trade spots. So he's pretty amazing. So yeah, definitely kind of well deserved. So for the winner circle, they get time with me, or they get an opportunity to be featured on the YouTube channel. I think both of those are kind of valuable. And we're gonna go kind of last 12 months. And the idea was that we're gonna, out of all these winners, we're gonna pick like a annual winner, and that one was supposed to get a free ticket to the Microsoft Business Application Summit, the Power BI conference. But now that it's online and it's free, we're gonna have to think about that. Actually, there was an option: either you could get a free ticket to that, or we could donate that money to a charity of your choice. But but so we thought that people would have that choice; they could do one or the other. But now, pretty much the first choice is gone. So we're gonna have to figure something out. By the way, folks, we also want to share some love to our YouTube followers. So even if you're not in the program, hey, I love my YouTube followers as well. So we're thinking of ideas of how we can expand maybe some element of this winner circle to our YouTube community as well. So kind of get you in the same stuff. Because again, I kind of believe in this, and I talked about why. Right? I mean, the more you celebrate this stuff, the more you bring focus, you invite more of that into your life. I have no idea. Oh, I was like, how did I get talking about this stuff? I was responding to your chat boxes here. How can I get an account free? I assume you're talking about PowerBI.com. As long as you have a non-Hotmail, non-Gmail email address, you can do that. If you don't have that, if you're like, hey, I just have my Gmail, I don't have a company email address, or somehow you're not able to use your company email addresses, then guys, the advice that I would give you is go to namecheap.com, register a domain name. Register domain name is just $10. Do not go to GoDaddy, by the way. It's just so they're a little bit too hard on the upsell. Man, you go buy a domain and they're like, do you want business cards? Do you want this? Do you want that? I find a little too much. Namecheap, really, really simple. And then the next thing you need to do is Namecheap. So let's say you get a domain name, avising.com. You don't have to do anything. By the way, it just costs $10, less than $10 a year. So you get that. And then you don't have to like set up a website or anything. Just pay Namecheap $10 a year to kind of hold your domain. And then you can forward that email to your Gmail address. There you go. So now you imagine you go there, you register avising.com, and then you forward that email to your Gmail, and then you can go to powerbi.com and type in your avising.com email address or whatever domain name you registered, and Power BI will say, hey, I sent you an email. And of course, that's going to get forwarded to your Gmail where you can click in to activate it. So that's that kind of the hack. Well, not a hack. I mean, I think it's legit. I mean, they asked for a company email. You gave them a company email, right? So it's your own company. So that's the way you can get around it. But if you already have a company email address, you don't have to worry about any of that. Use that first. Okay, folks, really liked Juan's dashboard. Great. So, folks, again, if you're starting out, I would actually definitely recommend that. I would say don't join my course before you've at least sampled this video, because it's going to kind of show you kind of my style, and I don't know, and there are lots of great Power BI teachers, and that's the good thing, folks. Again, we should celebrate that. I mean, sometimes people say that, oh, Avi, that one is your competitor. No. The opportunity in this space, by the way, guys, is limitless. I'm telling you, right? So I don't have any competition. This is kind of the Wild West, and we're like, hey, yeah. So we're helping each other here. So lots of great teachers, and it doesn't really matter which one you go with, and you can use multiple teachers. Why not, right? And I'm all cool with that. Sign up for somebody else's course, hang out with me and talk Power BI. I still love you, So. But yeah, so get a feel of this, and then if you're interested, then sign up for the waitlist. And again, folks, we're working. There's a lot going on, by the way. As you've noticed, we're offering free help. This Wednesday was the first time, but we're trying to help businesses who are fighting this crisis. We have big events coming up, which we're super excited about. So if you go to our website, learnpowerbi.com. We are having the real Power BI presentations coming. By the way, I should have spent more time talking about this. So we are planning to have 8 different project presentations. So you're going to see how they work with a new client. You're going to get the inside story. And again, whether you are a consultant or not, I think it's still going to be applicable, because frankly, the only difference between an employee and a consultant, one of the big differences is that if you're an employee, your client is internal, is in the same company. And if you're a consultant, then, that person is not in your company, right? I mean, it's somebody else. But otherwise, it's kind of the same. So I think everybody is going to learn quite a bit from their journey. And what I'm encouraging these folks, so these are the members in the Pro Plus program, I'm encouraging them to be kind of raw and unfiltered and share the ups and downs. Don't just paint a rosy picture. Oh yeah, Power BI is so awesome, and it was such a smooth journey, and I built this dashboard in 5 minutes, guys. Look at me, I'm so awesome. You're not going to get that. you're gonna get a real story. So I think that's more helpful. I think that's more helpful than watching. Sometimes I go to conferences and man, they show the button down look. I want to show the ugly stuff. I want to show under the hood. I want to see the journey. I want to see the struggles as they went through that. So I hope we see some of that in here. And for the first time, we're doing cash prizes. So there are $1,000 in cash prizes. And guess what? All of you folks are going to help us pick the winners. So that's coming up on March 24th, April 1st, right here on Talk Power BI. So we're excited about that. So we're doing that. We're helping businesses and so forth. But another thing we are working on, it's coming soon, is that we do want to open enrollment to a program because I know people are interested right now to kind of learn, to kind of get better, improve their skills, and we want to welcome that. We want to welcome them to our family. So so that all of that is going on. Great. Okay, so Usman, Usman is saying I've learned a lot about Power BI. I haven't shared a dashboard. What you can one option is that and all of the Pro Plus, well, not all of the Pro Plus members, but many of the Pro Plus members I think are doing this. So let's see, Big Wave BI. These are some that I remember. What is it? I don't know if personal Power BI trainer. So let's see. So this is Kenneth Tyler, personal Power BI trainer. As far as I know, he's the only one in the world. So imagine how you have like personal trainers at the gym. Kenneth Tyler is going to be your Power BI personal trainer, just like you have personal trainers at gyms, right? So you get one-on-one attention from him and help customize to you. So he doesn't have a dashboard, but let's see if Greg has it. Oh yeah, so Greg has this one, and of course Charles has Solismatica, which I think has a Power BI dashboard somewhere. Videos. Oh yeah, there it is, right? So Usman, what you can do, and again, it's optional. I mean, you don't have to do it, but if you can kind of anonymize the data and so forth, or build something new using sample data, then you can just publish it to the web. Publish it to the web, and then just stick it on a website if you have a website, or put a link on your LinkedIn, whatever, right? I mean, so yeah, that's what these guys have done. So yeah, so this is Power BI, and it's awesome, right? And yeah, you can go full screen mode here. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that didn't work. So you can see. So of course, this is Charles' website too, and I showed this earlier. So they're trying to help. This has an embedded dashboard too. Shows how many hospitals, police stations, all of those have been helped with masks and shields using 3D printers. All of that donation. And this one is Greg's, so he's focused on kind of businesses. So yeah, so you can do that. Okay, all right. So we did a bit of Q&A, I guess. That was kind of impromptu. And okay, so I know, Vijay, this took a while, but hopefully you're still on. If you're on, just let me know. But let's dive in and cover the dashboard. And if you're not on, then you can definitely catch it in the replay. So, folks, what I will say is, as you would see in the dashboard review and the Q&A next week, is if you show up and you're like, oh, Mike, I want mine to be looked at and I want my question to be answered, you're probably not getting the most out of it as you can. And hey, so I'm part of a business group, and our coach does the same thing. He would have this call, and his calls also go sometimes for hours, and he's there kind of answering everybody's question, and he says the same thing. He's like, hey, if you show up and say, oh, me, then you're not getting the most out of it, because if you open yourself up to all possibilities and you leave judgment for a bit, then you would realize that you learn so much from kind of the other discussions and so forth. But you got to be open to that. So hopefully you all come with that in mind, because otherwise, yeah, it's going to be kind of hard. All right, so this is cool, and so let's. So I'm not sure what order this is in. Like, they're labeled, but which one is the first sheet? Which one is the second sheet? I can't quite tell, but we'll just go with it for now. man, this looks fantastic, guys. What do you think? Man, I mean, this looks so pretty and clean. I mean, we talk about letting data be the hero. This is it. Okay, so let's cycle through some of the sheets. So this is CRU. I'm not sure what that stands for, but we'll go with that. This one is EIP dashboard. This almost seem like they're in different reports. Like, are they, if they're part of the same file or not? So this one is EIP dashboard. This looks like a totally different dashboard. Maybe this one is related to freight dashboard. The next one is mech dashboard. And this one is different. So Vijay is here. Awesome, Vijay. So Vijay, help me understand. As far as I can tell, these don't look like they're like in the same Power BI file. These look like different dashboards. If they're not, if they're indeed in the same file, then I would say definitely think about kind of standardizing the look and the feel, the layout, and so forth, if possible. So again, right, if there are different dashboards, then ignore what I said. But if they're in the same kind of PBIX file and they're part of the kind of the same report set, then maybe they look kind of very different right now. So I'm not sure. I don't know if you'll be able to do them all. If you have a preference, like, hey Avi, can you focus on this dashboard? Then we'll spend more time there. So I'll wait for your comments. So Salah, to send your dashboard, just go to our site and look for in the free resources dashboard makeover, and that's going to guide you how you can send the dashboard in. So Jen likes it. There are individual reports. So Vijay, let us know if there is one you would want us to focus on. We may not be able to cover all, at least with kind of good amount of time. So let us know which one is your kind of favorite. But I'm loving this, so let's start here. So again, first of all, guys, let's celebrate the fact that Vijay kind of stepped up and did this thing, right? He maybe it is his first step and kind of starting to share his story. Maybe it is next step. But in this day and age, you can't just do good work. You got to tell great stories. That's the way it is, mate, right? So it's a choice. I mean, it depends. You want that kind of great life. You want a life by design, or you just want life to happen to you, because that's what, unfortunately, was the truth for me, for sure. Is that I lived most of my life just sitting down. Well, I was sitting down and things were like, oh, this happened, oh, that happened, and you got a choice. You got to decide that, do I want to get up and reach for things that I want, right? So that's the journey. So kudos on that. That's awesome. And again, the first look, it looks visually clean and beautiful. I love it. Oh God, it's got so much going for it. So certainly kind of high level numbers up top. Beautiful, brilliant. And you can see how it demands our attention, man. It's like big and bold. It's hard to escape this. You can't go anywhere. And that's good. That's by design. And those are the most important numbers. So high level numbers up top, a trend here, a breakdown here, and trends here, right? So it's got good structure there. What else is there to celebrate? Clean look. So I really love it. So let's see how we can help Vijay take it to the next level. And again, folks, I mean, tell your story again and again and again. Don't hesitate telling the same story on different forums, LinkedIn articles, virtual media groups, virtual conferences, all of that. And we have a conference, virtual conference, of course, coming up as well. So watch out for that. So let's see how we can help Vijay take it to the whole new level. Okay, so let's do a squint test. I'm going to kind of half close my eyes. And what draws my attention? Man, this one is a little confusing because oddly enough, I think when I squint my eyes, my attention is drawn to the bottom element. Maybe because of the size. I guess it has to be because of the size, because it's certainly not in a high priority location. Usually we scan going this way. So usually stuff here or at the top grabs their attention. But this one is kind of big and wide, so that's kind of taking up attention. I'm not sure. We'll leave it for now. Maybe we'll come back to it, but that's what grabbed my attention. I think certainly we can consider. So there are no right or wrong answers. You just have to kind of try and experiment, understand the principles of dashboard design, so that you're not doing dashboard by accident, where you throw something together and cross your fingers and say, oh, I think it looks good, right? So it's a dashboard by design. So understand those principles, but within that, just play around and see how it works. So again, we've talked about the principle of pixel economy. Make your data pixels shine, and your non-data pixels, you have to minimize or eliminate them. So here, of course, all of these headings, they're non-data pixel. So I would encourage experimenting and seeing if you can minimize that, right? So first thing I would say is just, again, I'm not saying it would work, but in general, you can start by just eliminating the color totally. And if that doesn't work, you can bring it back, but see if bringing a lighter shade, can you get away with that? So, right, so yeah, just experiment, see if it works. If it doesn't work, this is fine, right? I mean, if you're like, well, I tried like a gray, dark gray, all of that, it just didn't have the same look and not the experience that I'm looking for visually, then yeah, use it, right? So again, kind of minimizing the non-data pixel. The layout in general is good, but in general, so since we scan this way, like this side is more important than this side, right? Because we scan from left to right, and in general, the top is more important than kind of the bottom, right? Because we scan top down. And in this case, both the top and the left is taken up by non-data elements. What if you swapped it? Right. I mean, at least this should be easy. Like take these slicers and put them on the other side, right? So I think I would prefer that. So again, I mean, right. So that way, yeah, you're putting this non-data stuff, where it's less visually important, so they can access it. Obviously, it's right there on the screen, so they can access it. But you shine the spotlight a little bit more on your data, and I'm not sure how to get rid of this. And again, we've talked about in this one where working with websites, we sometimes expect navigation at the top or these things at the top. So maybe that's okay. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah. So, but if you're designing a dashboard from scratch, so sometimes once you build something, it's so hard to kind of change it. But if you're designing from scratch, consider doing things like like you take the high level numbers and put them right here, and then a logo maybe goes here, or if you can, put the logo at the bottom corner. So frankly, I can't even wrap my head around like what the heck to do with these now, but I would encourage those who are starting out from scratch that see if you can kind of start with the most important data elements, right? And then the non-data elements, kind of the logo, the slicers, can you keep them in less important areas, kind of at the bottom and so forth. All right, so that was that, and what else? So I was talking to Juan about this, where he had seven elements at the top, and they were all kind of equal distance, equal size, and I said, well, think about how are they grouped? Are some related to each other, and are some more important than the other? And you want to emphasize those. So in this case, I would assume that this is a dashboard by design. So the latest price is not only different than these guys, which I can see that it is, right? I mean, these ones are like a 3-month, 6-month year-to-date average, right? So these are different, and also this is the most important element, and that one is brilliantly executed, right? Because guys, there are two things. One, the position. Remember, the one thing on this side is more important than this side because we scan in this way, right? So the more important element is placed first. Visually, it's placed first, right? Because we scan this way. So that's the most important. And not just that, brilliant, just brilliant, man. I mean, love this. Brilliant use of white space. Again, folks, white space is one of the most powerful elements you can use. So yeah, all it did was just put some little more white. See how subtle it is, man, and that's all it takes, right? So this is a little bit more, and these ones are consistent, these ones are smaller. So not only does it make this that, hey, this is the important one, pay attention to me, but it also groups these three, so then I look at them in a chunk, so yeah, man, this is just phenomenal, guys. I mean, right? So important element here, and then I say, oh, cool. Now I have this consumed 555. Then I can see that, oh, what is a 3-month average? What is a 6 months? What is a year-to-date average price? By the way, there's something. Either this is sample data and sometimes I know sample data can be crazy, but obviously, I mean, it's like the latest price and the year-to-date average price is kind of comparable, but this one is not comparable at all. So that may be a data issue, maybe something with sample data and so forth. So, um, but that caught my attention. But that's nothing to do with visuals. So that one is brilliant, brilliant. Um, uh, this one, you know what? I actually don't know about this. Like, I don't know what Stephen Few would say. What would Stephen Few say? That is this better as I don't even know what is it called, area chart, or would it be equally effective just as a line chart? And again, you can kind of experiment. Just see a line chart, see how it does. But yeah, it's clean, it's beautiful, love it. So I like that. This, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about. I think this is one too many. So I know Stephen Few has his guideline about the shades of a color, right? I mean, in color, we've talked about color, use color intentionally. Um, and so when you're not sure, when you know, like, oh, when you're like, oh, blue means this, green means this, something like that, if it's not intentional, then just go with shades of the same color. And of course, in this case, you're not using the shades of the same color, but maybe the same rule of thumb applies. So what Stephen Few says is, imagine if instead of different colors, this was just shades of gray, all right? And shades of gray, black, whatever you want to call it, right? They actually works really effectively, but to a limit. And the limit apparently is 5 different shades. So if you have 5 shades of gray, then our eye can make them apart, can differentiate them. If you have more than that, then man, then it's we really can't. I mean, hey, humans have some limits, right? So more than 5, it stops working. So of course it's not the same shades of gray, but I think maybe the same rule of thumb applies. Like, this feels one too many. Like, this is not working. It's too kind of cluttered. So you might want to experiment. Can you group these things into higher level categories? Like, so commodity, are there like bigger groups, right? Like, can billet and cold roll and electrograph be combined into one, and something like that? So that could be one option. You could experiment with different chart types. You could experiment making it bigger, kind of wider, taller, something like that. So yeah, just experiment with this. See if you can kind of improve this, and again, make it more readable, more actionable. And another challenge for this graph is, and that sometimes happens with data, it's not always an easy challenge to tackle, which is that there are things here which are really big, and this is quite common. I mean, companies have sometimes, like, they have like a few big products. The 80-20 rule, right? The 80% of the revenue is coming from their top 20 products, and then there's a long tail. So if you put all of them on the same graph, those 20% will show up at the top, and then everything is kind of down at the bottom, something like that. It's yeah. Oh, you know what? This is what I would do. So think about this. You already have the trend here, right? What I would do is, here I would make it a column chart and break down by commodity. I think that's gonna look and work better. So you have this breakdown by commodity, and I know it is not obviously not showing you the trend, but at least we have the capability for them to click on a commodity, and then of course this graph would filter and would show the trend for that. So again, a kind of different approach, and you just have to try it to see how it works, and test it yourself, check with your client, see how it goes. So yeah, but right now it's too busy. So that could be one option. So what we were talking about here is that if one thing is at one scale and then another thing that's smaller, then you lose the detail. You can't really see kind of what's going on here. And a good way to experiment with that is that exclude these elements from the graph and then see this one come to life. This one is going to then pop up, and you could see detail which is now getting flattened, right? Because these numbers are so big. So again, so the line chart, the idea with the line chart is to be able to understand trends. And if you have this difference in scales, then the line kind of flattens itself out and you can't see trends. So it's defeating its purpose. Its purpose is to show you trends. So again, if it flattens out, it's not working. So I think there's something needed there. So just play around with that. Bottom, yeah, this one looks good. I really feel that this element is bigger than it needs to. I don't know. Like, do you really need to see all of these? maybe you do, and that's fine. Maybe you don't. In that case, I would say you can make this half size, and then that gives you room to add one more element on here, which of course, if it makes sense, if you're like, oh yeah, I mean, we have always thought about adding this piece of information, then it gives you the space. Now folks, this one is pretty reasonable. They're not that many entries, like I can't quite them, but maybe around 10-15, right? So maybe around 10-15 entries, and this is reasonable for a column chart. This is good, this is working. But you could do it slightly differently, and certainly if you have more elements in this, if you have 20, if you have 50 or 100, then you have seen that it ends up with a scroll bar, right? And with a bar chart, it has a vertical scroll bar. Instead of that, what you can do is you can show like the top 5 or top 10 or whatever, something like that, and then group everything else into other. Now, of course, this would need some skill under the hood for you to be able to do that, but it's not that hard. So that's one way to show this, and that could be one way to make this more compact, where you can say, you know what, I'm going to show top 5 and then say other. Again, I mean, this is pretty good. And of course, what I'm seeing here is that drop off is not that steep. Frankly, in this case, top 5 and other may look weird because again, the drop off is not that steep. These numbers are still big. So what you're going to see is if you do top 5 and other, man, that bar is going to be tall, because right, there's still lots of kind of revenue here or something. Price compare. Oh shoot! Actually, I realized that this is not a. So folks, this is a good point. So I just realized that this is not sales. Sorry, I'm so tuned to looking at AdventureWorks. This is not sales. So this is price. So in sales, you can do top 5 and the other, and that adds everything up. But you can't do that for price. I can't, imagine like this shirt costs $30 in India, $50 in US. I can't say other and add 50 plus 30. That would be silly. So, I mean, maybe I can do average, but God, so, sorry, I didn't pay attention to that. So that one makes it slightly tricky. But again, everything that I said about doing that other at least works with what are additive measures, which, kind of sales and stuff like that. So price isn't quite additive. If USA is 50, India is 30, what is the price for US and India? It's not 80. I think the best answer I can give you is average. That can be the best answer. But yeah, that's not additive. You don't add them up. Sales, you can just add them up. And there the other strategy works well. So yeah, beautiful dashboard. So let me check. So Vijay did come back, EIP and PT. So let's go to the next. So Shivam, join the waitlist, and we're going to share all information about the program. Certainly, kind of how much you have to invest as well to our waitlist members. Could you use a filter pane? Yeah, so that one. Let's talk about that a little bit. So what's the thing between the filter pane and slicers? So in my mind, the filter pane has been improved quite a bit by the Power BI team, but generally I still feel I like slicers and I like putting them on the dashboard. I feel that makes it more accessible. And filters I generally use for like what I call admin filters, like author level filters. Like I want to filter this report for users for the current year, so I'll put that thing here. But if I want them to be able to select months, I would just put it on the page. So that's generally my take on this. But I know sometimes it gets tricky, and depending on who your users are and what your filter pane ends up as, you can use a filter pane. It's certainly far better than it used to be. Earlier it was like, oh God, I wouldn't never ask my users to get in there. But now it's pretty good. So yeah, that is an option too. And that one was from Sheila. Thank you, Sheila. Jen is saying, I usually tend to not use a fill chart, but this one looks really good. And you can see what it says right away. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of, and again, if you think about it from Stephen Few's perspective, again, it's like data pixel, non-data pixel. Yeah, this, if you think about it, this color, the shade of blue is not really conveying data. The data is simply being conveyed by this blue edge or line. So yeah, that is only data pixel. So I think Stephen Few would say, hey, just see if you can minimize that. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, why isn't AdventureWorks logo on the bottom right? Yeah, this is an old example. I did fix it in the video. I hope the Power BI dashboard one. Let's see. Actually, there are a few. There are other things here too. Let's see. What do I have here? Okay, yeah. So see, you can see I didn't do it at the bottom. I couldn't quite manage that, but I did move it to a less. Yeah, and then of course there's a debate of whether you put the title here or not, and that it depends. Yeah, I mean if there's something they're seeing day to day and they know what it is, then again you can put the title in a less important position as well. Okay, so yeah, so that one is. God, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, there is another thing that isn't quite right, and one of our students pointed this out, and he said, and once he said it, I obviously realized it right away. He said, Avi, if the number is 29,307, we are never gonna show it to the dollar because nobody cares if it's 837 or $838. Nobody cares, so that's too much precision, and that's what we were talking about with Juan, where he was showing decimal numbers, and I said, hey, for those you shouldn't show that. Now, of course, in some cases, like variance, maybe I do want to see 2.1, or maybe I even want to see in the second decimal. So it all depends, but so you decide that what is the right level of precision. Do I want to show the decimal? Do I want to show the dollar or not? So in the improved version, you can see that it's using this, and I think this isn't ideal. Because what I've seen finance folks usually do is that they do use one decimal. So they will say 16 point, what is my dashboard? 29.3 million, right? So that's how they should. So that's hey, as we were talking about, there's no dashboard that's done. All right, cool. So good stuff, and let's go to EIP and PT dashboards. Okay, let's see. EIP and PT. So let's go to EIP. All right. I think you definitely have a knack for a kind of beautiful clean. I love the clean look. And folks, this was more of a problem with Excel. But Excel would put these like used to, I don't know if it still does, would put like boxes around this thing, and there would be like axes and all of that sort of stuff, and you realize that a lot of that is not needed. And Stephen Few certainly, I talk about in my course, I talk about in my Stephen Few talks about in his book, was that yeah, I mean examine every non-data pixel, including axes and things like that, and see if you can eliminate it, and just try how it works. So. I think yeah, beautiful clean look, high level numbers up top, big bold screaming at you. That's how I like them, because I'm assuming you have put the most important numbers there. So yeah, they should demand attention. And then you have trends. It seems like trends as well, quarterly, and then you have breakdowns. And then a little bit of detail. And again, the layout is just mind-bogglingly incredible. So again, guys, you want to start with kind of high level, less detailed, less granular, to more detailed. And so obviously in my mind that is kind of these single numbers, you consume them almost right away. To a little bit more detail, which could be breakdowns, which could be trends, things like that, but they're visual, so they can still be consumed very easily. And if you have more detail, like tables and such, they should come visually in the end. And again, since we scan this way, you want to generally put more detail either on this side or down at the bottom, or as in this case, which is done in the bottom corner, which is awesome, just really, really incredible, right? So that is awesome. And let's see, what should we look at next? I think so. Let's see how we can take it to the next level. I think just work with this. So again, I mean, you want your data to be the star and kind of the logo, and and the name. If you can manage to put that on the other side, see if that still works. If you can start with the data and then have that other stuff on the side. If this needs to stay, then leave it there. Maybe the slicers, you can move it there. But again, I mean, if the users are having trouble finding it, then maybe you do want to leave it in the center. But I think it could work. So you would put your numbers and then put some white space and then kind of slicers. Try that. And as I'm seeing this dashboard seems to be kind of in two panels. This is the top panel, and then there's the bottom panel. So I'm going to assume that is by design. And the thing that's emphasizing that is this solid border. So again, guys, I mean, sometimes you need something really subtle. So imagine if Vijay hadn't used this fill, then maybe we wouldn't get this impression that this is one panel and this is a second panel. It'll just be different elements. But since he has used the fill color and has used it almost in like a continuous fashion, right? There's no gap between these two, these elements pretty much, that it kind of segregates this in two panels, which in my mind is telling me that these elements at the top are somewhat related to each other, and then maybe these elements are related, or that's a different section. And as far as I can tell, that is perhaps the case. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it seems to be performance trend. And then actuals. So yeah, it seems to be kind of about performance. So I do feel that there's kind of a theme here. So maybe that's good. I'm not sure about like this seems repetitive. Like we have the actuals already shown here, but then we're showing them as a column chart. Maybe that's not needed. Maybe we just show that as if we have to show it, maybe we show that as a table. I don't know. There's something there. So there's something there. And if you look at quarterly performance, Q1, we're comparing budget versus actuals. This seems pretty reasonable. Yeah, I feel like yeah. So this is again, not a huge fan of this chart. Maybe this is a cousin of the pie chart. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you again. But yeah, usually the challenge with pie charts and the chart like this, what is it called, gauge chart, is that so what are we trying to do with the dashboard? We're trying to convey information, convey insight, and have them focus on important elements and take action, right? And we have limited screen real estate. It's very limited, right? I mean, every pixel, we want to make every pixel count. So we want to use visuals which convey that information we're trying to convey, that, the data, the insight, and all that stuff in a very effective manner, but use less space. So imagine there are two visuals that both convey the same information equally effectively, let's say, but one takes, 400 pixels, the other, even if you compact it to 200 pixels, is equally as effective, right? So you can do the same thing in less space. That is a better visual. That is right. So pie charts and gauge charts are actually wasteful. They take up a lot of screen real estate, a lot of pixels to convey that information. There are other chart types which can convey the same information equally effectively in a more compact way. So that's why these are considered less effective. Again, there's no right or wrong. I mean, I'll leave that up to you, but just understand that at least. And yeah, I feel like maybe this can be conveyed with cards up top. So you have the budget and actual already. And I think the only valuable information we're getting here is this 22.6%. Maybe you can just use that as a card and put these cards kind of together. Again, by together, you can just use white space to separate that, I guess. So there's something there. A breakdown, BE performance by 80-day actual, that looks good. And again, in breakdown, the only thing you want to watch out for is that if this has like 100 things and there's a long scroll bar, then it's not really working. Think about, like, if you're showing at a product level, can you categorize them in product category, subcategory, something like that, color, whatever. So write that. Pie chart, again, we talked about that, not very effective. And I think this one, again, with pie chart, it's not very effective to begin with, and it starts to look really bad when there are a lot of elements. Try a simple column chart with this, see how it works. And then there's the detail. I would assume that one is good. So yeah, I mean, again, Vijay definitely seems to have a knack for creating beautiful, clean dashboards. This one is as pretty as the last one. Maybe some of the feedback can help, but frankly, I felt like most of my feedback was that, well, try it, see if it looks better. So there's no, I don't think I saw any like definite ones like, oh gosh, you shouldn't be doing this, right? So yeah, so really, really good stuff. Awesome. Let's see. How about heat map? Yeah, heat map can be very effective. Again, I mean, look at it, see how it looks, and then see how actionable it is. Like using a look at the heat map and then go, what? Look, oh my God, look at that red spot. We better take action there, or something. Or is there some insight like, oh boy, things are working here but not there? And of course, heat map is often shown. Is it always on a geographical map? I guess no, it doesn't need to be. Is it always spatial? Somebody help me out there. Are heat maps always? So I can imagine it can be on like a world map, a state map. It can also be the layout of your store. I've heard of dashboards, maybe even seen one where they do a layout of the physical store and then do heat maps of where users spend more time, that sort of stuff. So, but that's also spatial, right? That's to do with space. Can you do heat maps? Anything beyond space? Maybe not, as long as I can think of. The heat maps can be effective. Can't find page level filter on my Power BI. That's odd. Page level filters, yeah, should be right there. Filters on all pages, so it should be right there. I mean, just yeah, that shouldn't be hard to find. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Can't find color radiance. I'm not sure what that is. Like color. Yeah, so folks, if you've seen, Power BI is moving towards, and I don't have the latest version, I better update it, is the ribbon is changing and becoming more Excel-like. And I think that's a great move because, frankly, Excel UI is, I think, more evolved. So again, Excel as a tool, it's an amazing tool, but its strength is also its weakness because Excel can do anything and everything under the sun. It's very flexible. But that also makes it challenges because Power BI just has one goal to give you these reports on your data and that sort of stuff, right? So Power BI just, if you ask me, yeah, just, and it's apples and oranges, not even fair to compare, right? I mean, Excel is a Swiss Army knife and Power BI has this one goal. So Power BI is great there, but I think Excel's UI has evolved over a longer time and it's very refined. I mean, I want to be able to click on the axis, right? I want to be able to click on this, and then how in Excel the panel pops up and it just shows you options relevant to what you have selected. I want that. I don't want to be able to, have to kind of, wade through this long list of things. And in a way, the search bar, I would say, is an admission of failure, right? Search bar is saying, we understand this is too complicated. We give up. We're just going to give you a search bar. That's kind of an easy way out. Excel doesn't do that. It's context sensitive. It knows what you're trying to do and it shows you the options relevant to that. And that's why you don't have a mile-long list of things in Excel. Generally, you don't, right? So hey, I mean, I'm not kind of being hard. I mean, you obviously see Power BI team is already moving towards that. So I think it's kind of moving in that direction. The ribbon is already there. I think the side panel is going to change as well. And that's going to, yeah, tree maps are great. So tree maps are Stephen Few approved. And again, guys, I mean, some of it I understand his reasoning. For some of it, I just take it as is. Like Stephen Few said so. And one of my friends, Greg Weber, amazing guy. He's the one who taught me data modeling, by the way, which is the single best skill you can pick up if you are going to be a Power BI author, developer, whatever you want to call it, right? So, and he had this saying, he's like, well, when you're listening to other people, experts, whatever, who have done that for many years or whatever, and they're saying something, if you don't understand it, then just do what they say. And if you do understand it, then at some point you can maybe take it to the next step. And then you can say, well, I understand Avi said this, but my situation is different, and I'm going to use it this way. So often I talk about a rule of thumb or default. For example, the default relationship in Power BI is one to many, one directional. by default, you use measures for your calculations, not calculated columns. You don't do your math in the query editor, right? So that's the default. But that doesn't mean that that's what you do all the time. That only means that when you stray from it, you understand that you're straying from the default, and you know why you're doing it, and you can explain it to me. That's the sign of a great Power BI developer, right? And if you're not there, it's okay. So sometimes I'm helping a student or a client, and I open up the model, and I say, why is that relationship a dotted line? And I get a shoulder shrug, like, I don't know, right? Or why is that bidirectional? Why is that many to many? And shoulder shrug, I don't know, right? Why is that in a calculated column, not a measure? Shoulder shrug. Why is that in the query editor, not in a measure? Why are you doing math in the query editor? Shoulder shrug, right? So that is not modeling by design. That's modeling by accident. Like, I just want to get there. I don't care how, right? But that's not the most efficient. It's not going to serve you right. The difference is, and of course, that's what I try to help my students go get to through my course, through my program, through the support, and through their own journey for learning by doing, is that you can understand it, and then you say, okay, this is an exception, and this is why I'm doing it, right? So I say, why is that many to many? You say, oh, Avi, because of this, da da da. This is the, anyway, so all of that. So that applies to here as well. God, how do we start on that? Oh, I think I was trying to ask a question. Stream app, Stephen Few approved. Yep. So Stephen Few says stream apps are good. So I say, all right, well, Stephen Few said so. All right, let's do the last one for Vijay, which was, I think he said PT. So Sonke, you can, yeah, I mean, you don't have to create Power BI dashboards. You can create Power BI reports, publish them, and use them that way. If you're really getting started, and if you're like, well, Abby, what's the dashboard, what's the report, then check out my 60-minute tutorial. If you've seen that, then you know what I'm talking about, dashboard report. So you don't have to. There's one gotcha, though. As far as I know, you can't share reports with others. You can only share dashboards. Is that still true? If that's not true, let me know. Well, the last I checked, that was true. So yeah, that was, I mean, if I really didn't care about the dashboard, I still had to create like a dummy dashboard so that I can share it with somebody else. All right. Payment term analysis report. Man, this is really cool. For one, like the subject matter. So payment term, I'm thinking, so normally when I'm consulting with my clients, the terms are what I call net 30, which means that once I invoice them, they have 30 days to pay. But of course, different businesses have different models. They might offer different payment terms to different clients at different times, all of that sort of stuff, right? So I'm not really sure what this is, but to kind of, so it kind of makes sense, and I can see some of that. So different payment terms. I'm seeing this as days. So, you have to pay in 0 to 15 days, 6 to 90 days, and so that's what this is. That's how I am understanding it. And again, the beautiful, clean look continues. I think Vijay definitely has a knack for that. Stick with that, mate. That is awesome. So again, sometimes people create dashboards which are like very blingy, and man, they assault your senses. And sometimes it is even possible you build something like that, and your clients or whatever will say, "Oh, that looks so awesome," and oh, I can't wait to show it to my manager. But that may not be a good report, at least a good operational report. But because a good operational report is not about bling, it's not about assaulting your senses like, oh, whoa, shiny objects. It's about being effective. And what is the goal of a good operational report? Is to show you the lay of the land, help you understand how you go from data to insight, and then take action by drawing your attention to what needs your attention. And that's very hard to do when there is bling all over, right? So Vijay, you definitely have a knack for this, so keep that up. Some of the similar feedback to others. See if you can play around. I mean, put the data right up top. Can you put the title here, slicers? Can you move at least the data here and the slicers here? So yeah, just play around with that. See how that works. So again, you have good bones as always. You have high-level numbers. You have some breakdowns, and then kind of detail. And this one is also a breakdown and kind of a detail. So I think good stuff. And again, you've put the detail kind of in the lower section, which is the less important. We talked about that. So again, man, just really, really good, right? So that's awesome. I don't know. Is there anything? And again, your use of this continuous band separates these two in my mind. I hope that's intentional. If that's not intentional, if you don't really want the user to perceive this as, oh, this is one group and this is one group, then I would say break it up, and that'll change the look, right? I mean, imagine if it was just this, then it wouldn't look that way. It would just look at separate elements. Now, having said that, people do scan in this manner, so they would still probably scan this way, but right now, I'm expecting, frankly, these things to be kind of related and so forth. So if you're going, if that's what you're going for, then yep, this is you should pause here and absorb this, and then go on. That's good. If that's not what you were going for, then kind of maybe try breaking it up. So again, right number of elements, like not too many. If there's like a big scroll bar, that's usually not preferred, but this one looks perfect. That one looks perfect. Pie chart, again, not a huge fan, but it's okay. It's up to you. At least in this case, it's not in pie chart, if you have like 20 items, it just looks so bad. But this one, I would say, looks reasonable. I don't know. I really think what I really think is that this needs to be a column chart. I think so. And because one challenge that's happening right now is pie chart is organizing it based on the size of the thing, right? So the first element is the biggest element, but I don't want to see it that way. What I want to see is, I want to see this way. I want to see, I want to see 0 to 15, and then I want to see 15 to 30, and then I want to see 30 to 45, and then I want to see 45 to 60, and so forth, right? And then I want to see, okay, here's this much, here's that much, here's this much, here's that much, here's this much, here's that much, right? Something like that. And then I can see that how things break down. So I think, given what the subject matter of this is the only one that I would say a hard no. I would say that this is not working, because the sort order is just throwing me totally off. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'm having to jump around, like, 0 to 15 is here, 15 to 30 is here, and I can't quite compare the two. So I would encourage that. So I would say this one is hard. I would say I would strongly recommend you change that. Breakdown looks good here. Average video by business unit by Frida. So yeah, you're showing different breakdowns. That's awesome. Maybe there can be a trend somewhere. So again, I usually look for high-level numbers, breakdown, and trends. And if you show both of those elements, they can be incredibly powerful. Because imagine you're showing a trend, and this I wouldn't really call a trend. I mean, because it's more of a breakdown by whatever the category is here, and then you're allowing them to compare 2 years. So that's not really a trend. Trend, frankly, probably should be a line chart, right? So imagine you show like a month, January, February, March, right? So let's just go with that. And why it becomes really powerful to show trends and breakdowns together, because imagine if you do have a trend here, and then you go, man, this one is hitting it out of the park, or maybe it's really bad. I don't know if a high number is good or bad, right? So that one is really bad or really good. I want to see more, and then you click on that element, and then the trend changes, and you can see, we had this thing in July. I can see that in the trend, right? So showing trends and breakdowns together can be incredibly powerful. So I think you're missing out on that a little bit. So see if you can kind of work that in somehow. And again, I mean, it's kind of real estate. You're a real estate developer, so you have to choose, what am I going to build here? Because there is limited screen real estate. So again, detail kind of the top, tables, again, details should come later, either on this side or the bottom. So that's perfectly done. This almost feels kind of out of place. So again, I mean, I don't understand fully what the data set is, but see if you can kind of move it over here. And maybe if you do move it over here, maybe leave some gap. Like, don't make it continuous, because I think there should be a gap visually between, unless these two are related. So if I understood the data, maybe it'll make sense. I understand why you've placed this graph, but visually, just looking at it visually, this graph feels a little bit out of place. Although having said that, putting 3 tables side by side may be a little bit too much. So if you do end up with tables side by side, I would say that definitely, wait. So this is one table. they're not 3 tables, they're 2 tables, sorry. Okay, so if you do put them side by side, make sure you at least put some white space, otherwise they'll look like one table. Yeah, so I'll just play with that. Put the graph over here, then put the tables, but then make sure there's some good enough white space so that there's a break they can visually kind of see. And again, if you need to, if white space isn't enough, put like a gentle gray line, not this ugly orange thing, but a gentle gray line if you need more differentiation. Just play that, see how it works. Awesome. What are the best ways to understand measures, especially the calculations? So folks, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna recap the same thing I said. So folks, the journey that I have crafted, if you want to walk on this journey with me, is start with the 60-minute tutorial, not this one, but this guy. It's the main one on my channel, Power BI tutorial, beginner pro, desktop to dashboard in 60 minutes. Try saying that 10 times fast, right? So, but you know, so yeah, so start there. And then, guys, the choice is up to you. You can hunt around on YouTube, including my channel, or you can go for my course. And really, if you want to walk the journey with me, the next step here is after this tutorial is to go to my site, go to training, learn Power BI, sign up for the waitlist, and we're going to be opening enrollment pretty soon, and join my course. And that, let's see if we still have it open. Then you get to go beyond that tutorial, and you know, I kind of walk you through all of this, and then of course you do the whole learn, do, fail, win cycle, where you say watch my course, follow the examples, but then you apply your own data. You get stuck, but that's where the community is there, the coaching is there. I'm there to help you. All of the other folks are there. So, and you get that, and you do that again and again, as many times as you can, as quick as you can. Quick cycles. You should be cranking out. So when you're working on Power BI projects, internal or external, for clients, internal clients in your company or external clients, think agile. Power BI is agile BI. And I always think, I usually don't think beyond a month. I can have a quarterly plan, but that'll be like, you know, kind of let's pencil it in. It's like, oh yeah, first quarter we're going to focus on getting our revenue and sales numbers. Second quarter we're going to bring in our Salesforce data. Third quarter we're going to, so we might have like long-term plan. I'll just put a peg in there. But then I'll say what I can do this month. And then once we have that goal, I'll break it down a week. And every week I should be making progress. And of course, remote Power BI consulting is what I've been doing for many years now. And of course, that's what I'm helping our Pro Plus group walk on that path. So I talked about my course. We do have, so if you explore the training one, the Pro Plus is the small group. It's about 30 people. It actually right now is exactly 30. And they're on the journey to either become Power BI consultants or grow their Power BI consulting. Yeah, we all kind of work the same way. It's a remote weekly sprints, and every week we would have one meeting with the client. We would show the work, talk to them about the next steps, and then just we go offline. And whenever we want to, we kind of work on that offline. Check back in the next week. So yeah, so think kind of weekly sprints. So learning by doing. That's the real learning. So yeah, that's the journey with me, folks. Right. So you start with the tutorial, the 60-minute one. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this guy, and then join my course. All right. So awesome. So Vijay, okay. I'm glad to hear that. It seemed like the feedback was helpful. But again, man, I mean, first of all, pat yourself on the back. All right. So again, guys, I mean, you know, so I had this thing, I've talked about it sometime on the channel. I don't know, how do I segue into this? But when I left Microsoft, when I started on this journey, I was actually struggling quite a bit. I struggled for a long time. It was the most painful thing I've done. It has some advantages. So I left my job cold turkey, but man, it was so painful that I don't recommend it to anybody. So in our Pro Plus group, some people have left their jobs, but if they ask me, I can never get to the point where I can say, yeah, I mean, I say transition slowly, right? So don't go cold turkey, transition slowly and over time. But in that painful journey, one of the key turning points was this book, which this one. Love Yourself, like your life depends on it. And the guy is actually a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. And he experienced this in his life when going through his own dark time. But then he wanted to share it with the world, but he was very hesitant because he's like, dude, I'm people know me. I'm like an entrepreneur. I start companies. And if I go start talking about love yourself, people would think I'm crazy. And then one of his friends encouraged him. And he said, Kamal, that stuff that you do, kind of starting companies and all that stuff, that's valuable. But this is way more valuable than this. Especially because nobody's talking about it. Nobody talks about this stuff. Everybody talks about money, success, promotion, job, this, that. But guys, you can get all of that, trust me. You can get all of that and still be the unhappiest person in the world. We've talked about modeling by design. We've talked about visualization by design. But what about life by design? If you make that your goal, I want to be more successful, right? In terms of money, whatever, promotion, all of that stuff. That's what you're going to get. Is that really the life you want to design? Right? I mean, is that the life you want to design? Now, of course, the biggest misconception is that we think that when we get those things, we're going to be happy. Let me tell you, it doesn't work that way. Just look around, lift up your head, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. One of my guys I'm a fan of, Nathan Barry, he's an author, he runs his own company, he's amazing, and I'm like a huge fan. And he does these annual newsletters. And one of annual newsletter. In one of the newsletters, he talked about all of his journey, and he said, "Oh yeah, so I don't know, maybe it was 2018." And he talks about all of his journey, and man, he's like doing amazing stuff, right? I mean, they're like, "Oh my God, Nathan Barry," right? And then in the end, so I don't know if it was this year or some other year. In the end, he says, "Oh, the best thing that I did this year was I started seeing a therapist." Right, guys? So yeah, if you're chasing that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, guess what? It's not there. You never get it. Right? That analogy is perfect. You can never get that pot of the gold, end of the rainbow. So you can chase that all your life, but not have what you really want. So go about your life carefully. All right? I mean, life by design. Create a life that you want, but think about it. I mean, if you want money, why do you want money for? You say, "Oh, I want money so I can spend more time with kids." Well, then go for that. Make that your goal. Keep that in your forefront. But a step in there, in achieving those things that we want to achieve, and again, money is just a stepping stone, so go to the next step. It's like, what is the next step, right? And you can go even, right? But a key step in there is being nice to yourself. You can say loving yourself, right? Either way, whatever. And if you think about it, we're not nice to ourselves. In fact, watch the conversation, the dialogue that you have with yourself. We say some of the worst things to ourselves that we would never ever say, even to a casual friend. Forget about a friend that you love. And that's what this was about. Love yourself. Man, treat yourself the same way as you would treat a loved one. Because here's a dialogue that goes on in our heads. So, "Oh, this is too hard. I can't do it. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm too dumb." I mean, I don't know, versions of that or variations of that. And again, once you start watching it, you would realize how much of that goes on in our heads. And guys, all you're doing is bringing yourself down. You're never going to be able to fly, to really soar, unless you fix this first. And that was one of the key turning points for my journey. So think about it. In the airplane, you could be sitting next to your kid. Man, there's nobody in the world I love more than my own children, right? I mean, I love them, gosh, right? But when the masks drop, right? When the plane hits turbulence or whatever, when the masks drop, what do they say? You got to put your mask on first before you help anybody else, even the person you love the most, right? You got to take care of yourself before you can do those other things, right? So we want to be good at work. We want to be a good dad, a good husband, all of that stuff, a good partner, but we're not taking care of ourselves. How's that going to work? How is it working out for you? Right? I mean, just look at your current circumstances. That's it. You don't have to look beyond that. If everything is great, that's it. You don't have to take any action. But but if it feels like when things are not working, and especially if you think that, man, I'm putting in so much effort in it, I'm focusing so much on it, but I'm not getting the results. If this feels this weird kind of friction, I was like, why is that, man? It's possibly because, again, I mean, the person who's doing it, the being, you have not taken care of yourself first. It all starts from you. All right, so cool. So hey, oh, by the way, you know what? Hey, I can't talk about all this stuff and not give a shout out to my second channel. And so, folks, if you go on my main channel, you're going to find a link on the side to my second channel, Power On Now, which, if you ask me, has the more important lessons, right? So I often say that Power BI is my excuse to change people's lives. And that, the Power On Now channel, you can also just go to Power On Now, youtube.com/Power On Now, are lessons on that side of things that, anyway, you can check it out, subscribe, hit the bell, all of that stuff. So that's my second channel. Cool. Do we have any, reference, pixel emphasis? Yeah, Stephen Few. So definitely, I highly recommend the book, Stephen. I should probably put a link to that on the page. So Stephen Few, and I actually haven't read his new book. He does have a new book out, but I think this one is awesome. And frankly, I haven't even absorbed all the lessons from this book. I mean, you know how it goes with these things, right? I mean, you read it again and you go deeper and then you kind of apply it and then you go back and read it again and that sort of stuff. So yeah, this book I feel is deep and it's awesome. So Information Dashboard Design is quite an old book now, 2006, but again, it's about concepts and those don't change day to day. Maybe he doesn't cover some of the new fancy graphs, but if you understand the principles, you would be able to interpret it yourself. For example, Power BI ribbon chart, I wouldn't even say anything about it. I'll let you make up your own mind about it. And what you've heard me talk about, kind of pixel economy and conveying the data, the goal, and all that stuff, and you can make up your own mind that is this the most effective way. And again, the answer maybe depends. It depends on your specific scenario, but all I'll say is that I think ribbon charts are quite often misused. So that's the reference. What about my book? Yeah, folks, I don't mention that. So I think my book. Oh man, I think I don't even have a link on my website. Well, the book is actually included in the course, so we throw in the book. But guys, hey, it's what? It's past 12, so it's just us here. So it's a smaller crowd now, so I can be candid with you. Man, the book was written in 2015. I think I wrote it in 2015 summer. It came out in 2016 January or something like that. And then I think it's the only fix we've done is kind of fix the typos. So again, concepts-wise, obviously the concepts all the concepts still apply, but it's dated. So sometimes people join my course and they say, Avi, so the book is included in the course as a bonus. So they say, Avi, should I read the book first? And I'm like, God, it was written in 2015, and the course is a lot more recent. So, and things have changed in Power BI since then. So I say that use a book as an optional kind of extension. The course has all the latest and the greatest and the best of my knowledge. And the book does have some stuff, and some people like reading books, and so kind of you can read it on the side, but mainly focus on the course. Is this session recorded? Yes, it is recorded, and we've been trying to play on our channel, see where we put things, how we organize them. Maybe we should move it up, but on our channel. Well, you can go in the videos tab, and once this is over, sometimes YouTube takes some time to process it. So if you click on videos, you will see you can actually see all of the recording, right? So this is Talk Power BI, this is Talk Power BI, this is Talk Power BI Q&A. So all of them are available. There's also a playlist which you can access if you scroll all the way to the bottom. Yeah, we don't know where to put this. Maybe we should move it up. But yeah, so this has the replay. So the sessions coordinator. Okay, Zimi already helped with the work. Great. I was saying, actually, I'm trying to build a web analytics dashboard. What are the best ways to understand measures, especially the calculations? So, folks, yeah, I mean, the path is the same. I would invite you to take my 60-minute tutorial. If you like that, if it's like, hey, I want more of that, then sign up for the waitlist for my course. That's where I can teach you more. That's the path with me. But of course, you don't have to take that. I mean, there are lots of other teachers out there doing different things with different styles. Whatever works for you. So, but my path is tutorial, course, and then you apply it, and you kind of do that in an agile, iterative fashion. Any ideas, suggestions for building web analytics dashboard? So for the course, just go to learnpowerbi.com and click training. Learn Power BI. Yeah, so learnpowerbi.com. Well, you know what? I'll just put the link here too. So folks, yeah, I mean, and so it's gonna have the waitlist link, but we're opening this really, really soon. What else? Awesome. So web analytics dashboard. So folks, I'll recommend one of my close friends, Reed Havens, who's, by the way, been featured on a channel as well. He has an incredible story, incredible individual, man. And every time I meet him, he has visited a new country. Now, of course, I'm assuming that's that's been paused right now. But yeah, I mean, every time I meet him, it's like, yep, Australia, Singapore, somewhere exciting. It's always somewhere kind of exciting and exotic. So yeah, it's got an amazing story. So go check that out. Power BI. Power BI would take you around the world. Okay, and his site, Havens Consulting, is linked there as well. And there, Havens Consulting. Let's go there. Actually, let me. He has done some really good work with analytics. In fact, he sells that as a template as well. So if you want, you can just buy it from him. So services, where do I find it? Power BI file store. Let's see. Files and templates. There you go. Google Analytics. So yeah, so you can purchase a subscription. You can maybe try that out, $9.99. In fact, before that, you can just view embedded report. And I mean, and of course, I mean this frankly is great value if you ask me. Either way, so this is well worth it. But if you really want, maybe as a learning exercise, then you can see his embedded report and try to build that yourself, right? So I'm gonna pretend that I'm not seeing the ribbon chart. No comment there. But yeah, so so this is I believe he's built this off of Google Analytics. So yeah, this should kind of get you started. And there are lots of tabs here. So so there are 6 tabs actually. So page time of the day, and yeah, you can kind of explore it yourself. If you end up talking to him, tell him I sent you. No, just kidding. Well, you don't have to. All right. Reed was my teacher. Yeah. Oh, at Bellevue College. Yeah. Oh gosh, Reed. He's an amazing guy. I mean, I'm like, how did he find time for all of that? Yeah, he teaches at local colleges and university. I think he taught at University of Washington as well. I've taught there as well, and I know that it takes teaching at a college or a university. It takes up a good chunk of your time. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he's really amazing. That's great. That's a great connection, Jim. Awesome, folks. So let's go back to our dashboards and let's do a final call. Man, it's 12:25, but I'm here, guys. So we covered. What did we cover? We covered. Oh shoot, I forgot to timestamp it. I'll have to go back and do that. So we covered 4 of these. We covered Victor's, Nemanja's, Juan's, and Vijay's. Phenomenal. Really enjoyed it. Really, man, I feel lucky. So we didn't get to Ajay, Erick, Jan, Marcel, Nabil, or Roker. If any of you are here, or if you Oh, did anybody just send it while we were talking? I don't see any new ones. And again, folks, the way to submit is you go there, free resources dashboard makeover, and if you're subscribed to us, we always send reminders as well, and click here. For one, it's gonna give it the right subject, dashboard makeover, and then most importantly, it has kind of the disclaimer which allows us to use it on YouTube. Otherwise, sometimes people send me files and I'm like, dude, I don't know if that's for sensitive data or not, right? So that one has the disclaimer saying, yep, you're saying you can show it on YouTube. This does not have sensitive data, or I've blurred it out, or something like that. So, yeah, that's the way to submit it. So I don't see anything new. So let's just call out to Ajay, Erick, Jan, Marcel, Nabil, Roker. See if you guys have if you guys are here. And Erick had actually reached out to me earlier. So let me check YouTube. How's it going? So Arun, just go to Havens Consulting. Actually, I'll put that link in here. And I think he's got other goodies too. So guys, if you scroll down, Spotify user data report, company dashboard template, and again, I mean, you can buy it from him, which seems to be great value, or use that as like, oh, let me see as a learning exercise. Let me see if I can try to build a dashboard like this for myself. YouTube analytics. Wow, he's been busy. PBIX report. Wow, so lots of good stuff. Yeah. All right, so Alejandro, I sent a DAX question of the weird case of live connection through the Survey Monkey, not a dashboard review. Yeah, so questions. So folks, Q&A, we're going to do that next week. Where did that go? So the cousin of the dashboard makeover is the next one, the Talk Power BI. Maybe we should call it Talk Power BI Q&A, because that's what that one is. And we run that once a month. And this month it's going to be next week. Yeah. And yeah, you can pre-submit your questions, just like for here, you can submit your dashboard. And that one has a special link for students. So we do prioritize questions for them. And then all of the questions end up on a Trello board, which we go through on next week. So yeah, next week we're going to be taking all of that. And yep, I see Alejandro, your question right here. Oh, maybe you have two of them. Oh, you sent it twice. Yeah, if you send it, you can always check the link here and see if a question made it. If it made it, then, well, yeah, I mean, or if you want to look through other people's questions, like what are they asking and so forth, like that. So, all right. So folks, I didn't hear from any of these people, and I didn't see any new dashboards sent in. So let's cover Erick's dashboard, and we're gonna call it a day, which was a pretty epic day, if you ask me. All right. Erick, my friend, how are you doing? Erick is also a member in our Pro Plus family. He's already a consultant, wants to grow his independent consulting and focus more on Power BI. Twitter analytics, great. So again, nice clean look. And I think it has like sample data, it seems. So obviously the numbers are kind of off, like 0 and so forth. But imagine like this with real data and so forth, or maybe this has been run like with very small data set with a few days. So imagine, so obviously these numbers would have would not be zeros. So again, clean look, high level numbers up top, brilliant. And this one seems to be, I'm not sure what this is. Like I was gonna say this is a trend, but this is bins, so we'll come back to that. So I'm not sure he's using this bins thing, liked by date. I think this is by date. So yeah, in fact, I would remove the word bins. I don't know. It's confusing me at least. So it's just likes by date. So right. So I would probably remove the word bins. But otherwise, it does have. So this I imagine is kind of showing you trends like over time, right? And then engagement. Yeah. So showing you trends for 3 different kind of things: engagement, likes, the number of tweets itself. Oh, there's more trends. So media views, media engagements, and versions by day. So it's got good bones. One thing that I would consider, and again, I mean, it depends on the subject matter, is that think about if you can show any breakdowns. So, so everything here is by date, which is pretty much a trend, right? How are things trending? And Erick is showing different values, different measures, right? I mean, engagement, likes, tweets. So that's good. That's good information. But think about it, and again, it may not apply in this data set, is that can you show any breakdowns? So again, what is a power pattern, which I cover in my beautiful dashboard video, is well, one of these. Oh yeah, this is the one. Beautiful dashboard. Beautiful dashboard. Anyway, so you know the one that I'm talking about. Just search for dashboard or something on my channel. Would probably I'll hold on. YouTube playlist, main playlist. We'll do that, so that it's easier to find. But this guy. So in there, I talk about high-level numbers, breakdown, and trends. So consider: is there a way? Is there any dimension that it can be broken down? Right. So again, imagine sales, and then we have sales trend by month, by date, whatever. But then we have sales by product. That's a breakdown, right? So it's not a trend. It's a breakdown. Like you can see it by different products. You can see it by different categories. Is it something we can do for tweets? And again, imagine like a large data set. Imagine hundreds of tweets, thousands of tweets. We may want to understand, are there like tweet types? Most likely they are. So certainly imagine a large customer, a large company, which is sending thousands of tweets. I would bet that they would have some structure. I know we have structure around our tweets, right? So we'll say, this tweet was to promote XYZ, right? This tweet was to promote. So you probably start seeing this, guys. So, and again, you can just go to learnpowerbi.com, but we have 2 epic events coming up. We're super excited about that. March 24th, Talk Power BI, and April 1. And again, you can just go to learnpowerbi.com. Make sure to mark your calendar. And again, this page makes it easy for you. Just click on this, and it's going to help you add it to your calendar, Gmail, whatever you use, Outlook, and add it there because it's going to be super events. So we are promoting this. So if I think about it, if I would categorize or social activity or tweets or something, we would say, well, what was the target? Right? What was the destination? Where were we sending them to? Were we sending them to, blah? I mean, something real Power BI. Were we sending them to Talk Power BI Q&A? Were we sending them to a training course? Whatever, right? So that could be one thing, and it could be other things as well. I mean, maybe in a large organization you have multiple authors, multiple people who manage their Twitter account. So you have 5 or 6 different authors, and it could be by author. And so, this one was sent by. And again, obviously, you're not going to get this information maybe from Twitter. Maybe you have like your own database. So obviously, I'm going beyond what Erick has shown here, but I just want to kind of go there for a little bit to see which direction we can move this in. So if I was working with a client, I would talk to them that, hey, do you maintain if you have multiple authors, do you maintain a table or a catalog or something or database of saying, yep, this tweet was authored by this one, and if you have that, then I can connect that, and here I can show you by author, and then you can click on an author, you can say, this author Jane had the most number of tweets. Let me click that and see what she is doing, and maybe even see the individual tweets. So that's one thing you could add as well. So we talked about the high-level numbers. Again, this is a power pattern that I cover in my video, Beautiful Dashboards, and of course inside my course as well, in a little more detail inside the course, of course. But the power pattern is high-level numbers, breakdown, and trends. So we have trends. We talked about breakdowns, but then the other element in the power pattern is, the last one is a little bit detail. Is maybe you can show actual tweets. And especially imagine if somebody says, man, what happened here? Like we had a 200 likes. So again, the numbers are kind of off, but imagine 200 likes. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to see then the exact tweets. And then I'll say, this tweet hit it out of the park. It caught on fire. And then in that, I would not only have the tweet, but I would have numbers for that tweet as well. This tweet was liked by this many, and something like that, right? So think about breakdowns and think about a little bit of detail. You obviously have trends covered. So I think that looks really good. The other feedback to again kind of take it to the next level, take the story to the next level, is that the use of colors should be intentional. And I would say that it doesn't really help, I think. Maybe it even hurts to use different colors for different things. So we saw Juan Ignacio's dashboard, and we saw how it was kind of this blue theme, kind of the same color, shades of the same color. I think in this case, these bars should be exactly the same color. I don't think there's a reason for that color to be kind of different. Yeah, and if you want things to stand out, I don't know, maybe the title is kind of different. Like, for example, I mean, it doesn't help to have media views in red, because there is no connection in my mind that red means media views. It just isn't there, right? There's no connection in my mind saying blue is engagement. If that was there, then the use of color would be intentional. But right now, I don't think it is, right? So since that connection is not there, it's not serving any purpose. If anything, it's probably hurting, because again, brain tries to find pattern. That's what basically a big part of what a brain is. It's a pattern recognition thing, right? And it's looking for patterns, like, oh, has this happened? Is this a threat? Is this an opportunity? All of that stuff. So if you use colors without intention, the brain of the viewer is going to struggle a little bit. And again, we want to save that mental bandwidth to say, like, what does a color mean? Again, we may not consciously think, but subconsciously it kind of feels like a drag. So imagine a ship going through water and they're like barnacles on the side, and that's going to slow the ship down. So that's what it feels like to me. It's that, yeah, that's going to kind of be a drag. It's like, the brain may spend sometimes like, what does a color mean? And I don't think it really means anything. It's just different colors for different things, which we don't really need, because I think the brain understands that, yeah, these are different elements, right? So the brain doesn't really need a hint. Now, of course, if there was things that there were things that were related, you don't have to use color. You can use other techniques. I see one being used already here, which is white space. So I would assume that this is intentional. So again, the way this is organized, so notice that these two are kind of close together. And I think this one needs to be really close to these two as well, because I think these kind of are together. But right now what's happening is there's no white space here, but there's some white space here. So visually it's feeling like a break. Like my brain is saying that, oh, these two things are related, but that one is not, which I don't think that was the intent. So I would regularize that. I would keep the same amount of space and bring them kind of closer together. So you say, yep, these three things kind of go together. And then there is a break here, which I'm going to assume is intentional. And then this is the next set of things, right? So white space is already doing that job. So I would kind of remove the color. But I think good elements there, but maybe doing some of those things, if possible, given the data set, would take it to the whole new level. Woo! All right, folks. So, man, that was pretty epic. And folks, what I'm going to end with is the page that is kind of hard to find now. And again, we'll add it to our main page. Is learnpowerbi.com/help. We'll add it to the menu bar. And I know there is stuff going on in the world, right? The virus that shall not be named. Oh, well, I guess I name it on the page, but and I'm trying my best not to talk about this, because I feel that all conversations are revolving around this. And when I talk to my parents, guess what's the topic of discussion? And I try to call them like twice a day. Morning, evening, they're in India. So, inevitably they're always talking about this. WhatsApp is incredibly popular amongst Indians. I'm pretty active on WhatsApp. So guess what the main topic of discussion is in all of those groups? It's that. And it's just everywhere. And I don't watch news. I actually stopped watching news a few years ago. I do get it filtered, though, from my son, who watches Trevor Noah. That's where we get our news from. So I sometimes watch it with him or watch it over his shoulder, or he shares something with me. Like he shared with me that Bernie Sanders dropped out. I'm like, what? So I didn't know. So I'm checked out of news. But I try to, like, when my parents start talking about this, I try to switch the conversation as soon as I can. And because here's the thing, guys. Let's try this. Let's see if I can. There is a circle of control, all right? So that circle is a circle of your control. And then we have a circle of influence. This, by the way, comes from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And then there's a circle of concern. The things we're concerned about, but we cannot control or even influence. And unfortunately, I feel what's happening is that now our circle of concern has gotten big. And I'm not saying kind of ignore that, but understand that you are gonna be your most powerful when you operate in your circle of control. Maybe your circle of influence, that's still okay too. But if you operate most of the time from the circle of concern, you talk about, you think about, discuss things which you cannot directly control and not even influence, that's a waste. That's a terrible waste. And that's what I'm trying to avoid, at least for myself. So when I said, what can I control? So I felt helpless. I'm like, I can't help anybody. I'm not a doctor or a nurse. What can I do? What can I do? I can nothing. Oh, coronavirus this, coronavirus that. But then when I brought myself to the circle of control, I realized that how I can help in the best way and how everybody can help in the best way is by operating from their circle of control and focusing on their zone of genius. If you're a musician, you better make the best goddamn music you've ever created in your whole life. That's your goal. That's your duty. That's how you're going to empower humanity. That's how you help others. I'm not a musician. I'm a Power BI guy. So once I thought that, I knew exactly what I need to do. I was like, well, that's all I need to do. And sure, there are people who are impacted who are, who've gotten the virus. And again, doctors and nurses are the ones who can help them. I can't help them. But businesses, sorry, wrong page. Where did the page go? That'll probably help. Businesses have been impacted by this as well, and these are people too, right? The people who work for those businesses and the people who are served by those businesses, right? I mean, so there's a long chain of that. All of them have been impacted. And so again, right, imagine I was feeling so helpless. But once you bring yourself back to your circle of control and your zone of genius, that's when you become the most powerful. And I said, oh my God, this is so simple. And I can help and make an impact in a big, big way. So we started this off as an experiment. We had some meetings. Some people had booked meetings last Wednesday, and I spoke to a catering company in New York whose revenue has dropped by 95%. I spoke to a flooring company which is pretty much shut down. I spoke to a consulting company who are kind of doing some new stuff. But yeah, I feel empowered. I feel like I can make an impact. And I also felt something else. I felt that we're not dead. Guys, business is not dead. We're not over. Humanity isn't over. I mean, frankly, when you hear the bad news, it feels like, man, this is the end of the world. Hey, I don't think it is, right? And dang it, even if it is, we're not gonna take this down lying down. We're gonna kick and fight, and that's what I see these businesses do, and that inspires me even more. The catering company in New York, the flooring company that's been shut down, they're taking action towards it. And again, I hope what I can help them do is that they operate in their zone of genius, in their circle of control. So that would be my call to action to you. All right, stop operating forever in the circle of concern. Bring your focus down to the circle of control, and guys, make an impact. Because of course, what goes around comes around, right? I mean, this is going to lead to big things, and I feel now is the time. So I say it on this page, like, this is not the time to shrink in fear, but that's what everybody's doing. But guys, that's a sign of a leader. So my coach says this to me. He's like, when they zig, you zag. When they zig, you zag, right? And Warren Buffett has similar advice, and he says, when others are fearful, be greedy. He's obviously talking about the stock market. When others are fearful, be greedy. Great time to invest in the stock market. When others are greedy, be fearful, right? So yeah, now is not the time to shrink in fear. Now is the time to step up. When they zig, you zag. That's the sign of a leader. And that's what I want you guys to do. All right, man, before I start crying, I'm going to sign off. I'll see you next time, guys. Take care. Power on.